Chapter 84. The two giant beasts were in a stalemate, biting each other, and neither was willing to let go. The terrifying bite force could easily kill an airborne realm human, but in front of the tyrannical physique of the monster, this bite force seemed to be laughably weak. Even if Lin Yuan and Chen Yan were frantically shaking their heads, trying to tear a piece of flesh from each other, both of their efforts were in vain. As time passed, Chen Yan's eyes suddenly flashed with a touch of horror. He had always thought that the rumor that this black snake had defeated the Wisdom Realm monster was just a rumor made up by the three-eyed ape in order to stabilize the situation in the Stoneclaw forest. But now he gradually began to believe it. In addition to the innate ability of divination, the Xian Turtle clan also had the terrifying defense that all turtle-type monsters had. Even if it left its hard shell, its skin could not be penetrated by anything. But Lin Yuan's snake fangs easily pierced into its flesh, and the pale golden scales on the black snake's body seemed to be not inferior to its shell in terms of defense. Ding. The Wisdom Realm monster Chen Yan is afraid. Does the host choose to end this battle? Friendly reminder. If the host ends this battle now, it will not be considered as taking the initiative to leave the battle. The mission will be cancelled, and the host will not be given any punishment or reward. The system's electronically synthesized voice slowly sounded. Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils flashed with a touch of ridicule. The so-called Beast King, it was just SOSO. He knew what Chen Yan was afraid of. After all, even if Pingqiu and Blizzard joined forces, they might not be able to take down Mengdu. If he could not take down Lin Yuan in a short time, the top combat power of the three clans' allied forces would be restrained. In the previous wave of the White Claw, they had lost more than 20 Wisdom Realm monsters. Their current military strength could not be compared to the Stoneclaw clan at all. The longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for the three clans. But the problem was, give up now? If it was before the system issued the quest, Lin Yuan might have chosen not to fight Chen Yan head-on. After all, facing a monster like him that specialized in defense, Lin Yuan would not be able to gain any advantage. However, now that he had suffered a loss, even the golden body technique had advanced in advance. In the future, if he wanted to use attribute points to strengthen the golden body technique, he would have to pay an additional attribute point as a price. If he did not obtain the system reward of a template draw, then he would have suffered a great loss. In that split second, Chen Yan actually took the initiative to let go of his mouth, allowing Lin Yuan to bite his head. He said in a muffled voice, "Black Snake, the war between the three clans and the Shattered Stone clan has nothing to do with you. Why do you want to stay here and risk your life against me? How about this? You let go of me, and after we defeat the Gravel clan, I will guarantee that you can establish your own force in this area. How about it?" Lin Yuan sneered in his heart, and continued to inject the dove wine poison into Chen Yan. When fighting monsters of a higher level, the speed of increase in proficiency would also increase significantly. Every time Lin Yuan's poison sac secreted poison, the proficiency on the attribute panel would jump around 3 to 5 points. Therefore, Lin Yuan firmly believed that even if his poison had no effect on Chen Yan, as long as he persevered, he would be able to poison Chen Yan to death sooner or later. He did not believe that with only a difference of a large level, Chen Yan could withstand the second advancement of the poison. If that was the case, was there still a need for poisonous snake monsters to exist? Good. It seems that you are determined to be enemies with me. Then don't blame me. Chen Yan saw that Lin Yuan had no intention of stopping, and his eyes did not show any shame or anger. He did not open his mouth again like Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan was wrapped in the scales of the golden body technique, but his 4 feet fiercely stomped on the ground. Boom. A loud sound spread out for hundreds of meters, and it was still reverberating. With Lin Yuan and Chen Yan as the center, the land within hundreds of meters collapsed for nearly 1,000 meters out of thin air. Within this range, whether it was the demonic beasts under the command of the 3 major clans, or the mountain-shaking apes that followed Lin Yuan to break out of the encirclement, as long as they fell, they would directly turn into meat paste. Moreover, they would not fall to their deaths. At this level of monsters, as long as their bodies spread out, they would be more than 100 meters long. A mere 1,000 meters was not enough to kill these naturally strong monsters. What really killed them were the earth spikes that extended from the broken soil. Even if it was a 10th level monster, under the cutting of the earth spikes, their skin would be as fragile as white paper. Fresh blood, minced meat, and internal organs covered the bottom of this sinkhole. Lin Yuan maintained the posture of biting Chen Yan, and followed Chen Yan to the bottom of the sinkhole. Those sharp earth spikes cut Lin Yuan's body, which was not covered by the golden body technique, full of holes. There were even dozens of earth spikes that penetrated Lin Yuan's pitch-black snake body. Even the scales of the flood dragon could not withstand their penetration. A little interesting. You can actually withstand my heaven-falling earth-sinking strike. Your flesh and blood must be very delicious. Chen Yan licked his lips with his tongue, and said in a cruel tone, "This is a talent that I have painstakingly cultivated. I can only use it once every 3 days. Originally, I wanted to leave it for that damn monkey in Mendu, but using it on you is not too much of a waste. I gave you a chance just now, but you did not cherish it. Now." As Chen Yan's voice fell, the 4 walls of earth began to slowly move, as if they wanted to bury Chen Yan and Lin Yuan alive. However, Chen Yan was after all an earth attribute monster. Even if he was buried underground, he would be able to move freely for a short period of time like a fish in water. But Lin Yuan? Chen Yan looked at Lin Yuan who was biting him, and the greed in his eyes became more and more intense. It was as if Lin Yuan had become a delicacy in his eyes. The rain came. Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils did not waver. Being buried alive in the sinkhole, that suffocation could easily take his life. However, Lin Yuan did not think that Chen Yan would live long enough to take his life. The moment the blood sacrifice wishing technique was activated, Chen Yan suddenly realized that whether it was his own blood, Lin Yuan's blood, or even the blood of the monsters that died in the sinkhole, all of it was instantly sucked clean by some strange force. Not even a trace of blood was left. Rumble, rumble. The clear sky was suddenly covered by dark clouds. Thick bolts of lightning struck down, turning the forest into a charred black color. However, before the mountain fire could spread, a downpour had already followed. Moreover, it was a terrifying downpour. In just a few breaths of time, the water in the sinkhole had already reached the top of Chen Yan's feet. If it had to be converted to an exact distance, it would be a height of about 3 to 4 meters. Chapter 85. Chen Yan snorted coldly. He heard that the last time Lin Yuan killed an intelligence perception demonic beast, there was also a rainstorm. Originally, he thought that it was just a coincidence, but now, how could he not guess that the 2 rainstorms were summoned by Lin Yuan? Summoning the clouds and summoning the rain did not sound like much. After all, no matter how heavy the rain was, it could not smash or drown the opponent. But with this kind of talent, to demonic beasts, the difference was like the difference between clouds and mud. Don't look at how humans crazily hunted demonic beasts, using the demonic beast's flesh and demonic beast core as capital to become stronger. However, when faced with a demonic beast that could summon clouds and summon rain, even the monarchs of the 7 great dynasties had to be somewhat courteous. They might even have to carve out a portion of their own territory and worship this demonic beast as the local god, allowing this demonic beast to protect the land and ensure that drought would not affect the farming and harvest of the land. The worship of the human dynasties was secondary. Chen Yan, who came from a large clan, was very clear that those demonic beasts that received the worship could really be reaped. The term god was very distant from demonic beasts, but after receiving the worship, the demonic beast's cultivation speed would rapidly increase. The more believers there were, the faster their cultivation speed would be. Therefore, any talent that could protect the land and water of a living being was envied by countless demonic beasts. Lin Yuan did not know what Chen Yan was thinking. Even if he knew, he would not care. Summoning the clouds and summoning the rain was a skill of the dragon clan. Even a flood dragon could do it easily. The previous rain took away a third of Lin Yuan's blood. But this rain, with the bloodline of the flood dragon, only took away a 7th of Lin Yuan's blood. In addition to the other blood sacrifices, the scale of this rain was several times larger than the previous rain. In the legends of his previous life, there was the existence of the heavenly law that restricted the dragon clan. For example, if the heavenly court wanted a place to suffer from a drought, if the local dragon king reigned, he would be captured by the heavenly soldiers and executed. But in this world, as long as Lin Yuan was willing, he could summon the rain at any time, or block the rain that was about to fall. Eat you, as long as I eat you, all of this will be mine. Chen Yan's eyes turned red from jealousy, and even his voice became ferocious. The crazed Chen Yan even forgot to reserve any energy to deal with sudden situations. His eyes were red as he looked at Lin Yuan. The speed of the earth wall closing in on him increased dramatically, as if it could not wait any longer. You're crazy. Lin Yuan glanced at Chen Yan from the corner of his eyes. He took the initiative to let go of Chen Yan and retreated 2 meters. Chen Yan glanced at Lin Yuan, who suddenly retreated, and said in a low voice, "Black Snake, save it. I know what you're planning. However, my Xian Turtle clan is also an aquatic demonic beast. Even if you fill this sinkhole with rainwater, I can still come and go as I please." The rainwater had accumulated to a depth of more than 30 meters at the bottom of the sinkhole, almost covering 1/5 of Chen Yan's body. The earth wall had already come into contact with Lin Yuan's snake tail, but those sharp earth spikes didn't succeed in piercing through Lin Yuan's second-order golden body technique. Bang! Soil flew everywhere. The earth wall behind him was smashed into pieces by Lin Yuan's tail. Although it didn't completely collapse, large amounts of soil had already fallen down, dyeing the water in the sinkhole a murky color. A pair of blue-white vertical pupils slowly looked up. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and lightly flicked out his snake tongue. He slowly asked with his mind, "If the water can't kill you, then what about ice?" "Ice? What ice?" Chen Yan was slightly startled and didn't react. In the next moment, the 30-meter deep water was lifted up by an invisible hand and instantly formed into a water ball, directly enveloping Chen Yan. Before Chen Yan could break out of the water, traces of white cold air, visible to the naked eye, spread out in all directions with the water ball as the center. Crack, crack. The huge water ball, in the blink of an eye, turned into a huge ice ball and directly enveloped Chen Yan. Innate talents weren't skills with fixed damage. Those skills would only improve by leaps and bounds when they were upgraded. However, innate abilities were different. When Lin Yuan became stronger, his innate ability would also become stronger. When he first planned to freeze Batu, he was still a Class 7 monster. Now he was already a Class 10 monster. If the battle between him and Batu was repeated, he only needed a thought to easily freeze Batu to death. If Chen Yan was in his peak state, even if Lin Yuan used ice to control him, it would be useless. This was because he only needed to shake his body slightly to easily shatter the ice around him. However, at this moment, a large amount of poison had accumulated in Chen Yan's body. Although it wasn't fatal, if it wasn't expelled, it would still have some effect on his body. In addition, he released the Collapse of Heaven and Earth ability to instantly kill hundreds of monsters. Although it seemed very powerful, this kind of terrifying area of effectability was often accompanied by an intense consumption of energy. Otherwise, Chen Yan naturally wouldn't have been affected in the battle and directly become crazy. Kacha, kacha! The sound rang out once again, and cracks gradually appeared on the ice ball that was controlling Chen Yan. Lin Yuan didn't reveal the slightest trace of panic. On the contrary, there was only a faint ridicule in his eyes. It was as if he had already grasped victory in his hands. The terrifying rainstorm continued. When it fell on the bodies of other monsters, it would instantly wet their fur. Even some of the more agile frost wolves and black foxes began to become clumsy under this kind of storm. However, the mountain-shaking apes were obviously not used to this kind of weather. Although the rain couldn't harm them, they couldn't even open their eyes in this kind of environment. They could only follow their instincts and wave the stone sticks in their hands. Fortunately, after Lin Yuan and Chen Yan disappeared from the battlefield, the mountain-shaking apes behind Lin Yuan once again followed their instincts and spread out to fight with the monsters of the 3 clans. Previously, the mountain-shaking apes gathered together because Lin Yuan took the lead. According to their battle habits, they still liked to spread out to different positions. After all, if their companions stood too close to each other, the stone sticks in their hands wouldn't be able to be used. and when the rainwater fell into the pit, it would turn into pieces of ice. It would attach to the huge ice ball in front of Lin Yuan, and continue to strengthen the ice ball's control. No matter how Chen Yan crashed into the ice ball, the outer layer of ice would become thicker and thicker. Roar! Chen Yan roared angrily. Gathering all his strength, he chose a direction and suddenly launched a collision. This time, the ice ball didn't have time to control Chen Yan. He forcibly broke a hole in the ice ball. Half of the tortoise's body was once again exposed to the air. Chapter 86. Whoosh! Poochie! Without giving Chen Yan a chance to catch his breath, the pale golden snake tail suddenly shot out and pierced into Chen Yan's left eye. Chen Yan's face was filled with disbelief. To Lin Yuan, the innate ability to control ice was not like the magic in novels, where he could just throw it out after chanting an incantation. It was more like an extension of his body, so all of Chen Yan's movements within the ice ball were within Lin Yuan's control. Although he did not continue to control Chen Yan, Lin Yuan was still able to see where Chen Yan would break out of the ice ball. The eyes are the weakness of any living creature, because no matter how hard your bones are, there will still be holes. Behind the eyeball is a thin layer of flesh and mucous membrane, where the optic nerve is located. I only need to increase my strength by a little bit, and I will be able to pierce through this layer of obstruction, directly turning your brain into paste. I'm very curious, for a powerful beast king like you, after having your brain turned into paste by me, will you be able to live? Lin Yuan maintained his posture of piercing Chen Yan's eye with his snake tail, and his mouth once again cracked open, revealing a smile. A human-like smile, but it made Chen Yan feel as if he had fallen into an ice cave. When he was just being controlled in the ice ball, the surrounding cold air did not make him feel cold at all. But this smile of Lin Yuan's made his whole body tremble like a sieve. Don't. No. I am willing to serve you as my master. Please let me go. Chen Yan's voice became louder and louder, his breathing became more and more hurried, and in the end, he was almost shouting hysterically. He indeed coveted Lin Yuan's flesh and the dragon blood in his body, but this did not mean that he was willing to give up his life for a good meal. In a true life and death situation, no living creature would be able to disregard life and death. Perhaps there were a few monsters who could hide such emotions, but obviously, Chen Yan was not one of them. Ding. Congratulations, host, an intelligent state demonic beast has pledged loyalty to you. Do you accept? The system's voice directly sounded in Lin Yuan's mind, and even the thunder in the sky could not block it. System, do you have any suggestions? Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils flashed with a hint of surprise. The system fell silent. Lin Yuan looked at Chen Yan thoughtfully, a hesitant expression appearing in his blue-white vertical pupils. The lifespan of a tortoise-type demon beast was extremely long. Even though Chen Yan, Blizzard, and Pingxia were all beast kings, it had probably lived in the Stoneclaw Forest for a longer period of time than the three-eyed ape. Furthermore, it had the strength of the peak of the wisdom realm. If he could obtain Chen Yan's loyalty, Lin Yuan would be able to take a huge step forward in establishing his own force. However, defeating Chen Yan this time was mostly due to luck. If Chen Yan's submission was only a temporary measure, then the next time they fought, Lin Yuan might not be able to subdue a beast king of Chen Yan's level. Sorry, I don't need it. Lin Yuan's gaze suddenly became resolute. In the next moment, his pale golden snake tail suddenly thrust forward and pierced deeply into Chen Yan's skull, crushing his brain that had lost its protection. The Xian turtle beast king that had resided in the Stonetalan forest for an unknown number of years lost its life force completely at this moment. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the special mission, Cicada's Guts and Turtle's Belly. Calculating the reward. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a random system template item X1. At the same time the system broadcast sounded, Lin Yuan also pulled out his snake tail. A beast king's smile was indeed very attractive to him, but in the face of the system's promise of a random system template item, whether Chen Yan was truly loyal or not, it didn't seem that important. With the help of the damned system, Lin Yuan's own strength was the true strength. He couldn't expect Chen Yan to risk his life to help him when the system gave him a mission, could he? System, Directly use the template item. I want a new function now. Lin Yuan didn't hesitate for a moment and directly used the item. Template item is being extracted. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a system template. Territory. There wasn't a turntable like he had imagined, not even a light spot. When the item was removed from his backpack, Lin Yuan had already obtained his new function. The corner of Lin Yuan's eyes twitched as he let out a long sigh. He had still somewhat underestimated the system. This bastard thing was even more shameless than he had imagined. Following the appearance of the relationship and war templates one after another, Lin Yuan had a faint premonition in his heart that the appearance of the territory template was only a matter of time. Even when the promotion mission was completed, there was a possibility that he would be rewarded with a territory template item. But at this moment, the template was directly extracted by him. If this wasn't the system's manipulation, Lin Yuan would have already performed a wave of handstand shampoo. As for what function this template had, Lin Yuan didn't know at the moment, nor did he have the opportunity to find out. After all, the current him didn't even have a territory. The outer area of the beast forest could only be considered as a nest and not a territory. Under his command, there were no clans like the 4 major clans of the Stoneclaw Forest to fight for him. At most, there was only one Batu. It could bully the low-level beasts in the beast forest, but in a battlefield like this, it was completely a cannon fodder-level existence. Hiss. The snake spat out its tongue. Long ice swords violently swept out, instantly crushing the earth spikes on the surrounding earth walls. Then the ice cubes formed a huge throne under Lin Yuan's body, slowly lifting him up from the 1,000-meter-deep pit. Black snake. It's the black snake. In the curtain of rain, some of the more tyrannical beasts looked at Lin Yuan in disbelief. After all, regardless of shape or size, the difference between the black snake and the black tortoise was not small. Lin Yuan had once again returned to this battlefield, but Chen Yan had already completely disappeared. Although they didn't know what happened in the heaven pit, they were very clear that the black snake was the final victor between the two. A 10th-grade demonic beast first killed an intelligence enlightenment stage dove snake, and today he actually killed an intelligence enlightenment stage black tortoise? When did a 10th-grade demonic beast become so tyrannical? Those who surrender will be spared from death. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged on the ice throne. His blue-white vertical pupils were not affected by the curtain of rain in the slightest. They coldly swept across the demonic beasts that were still fighting. Following his gaze, the demonic beasts of the 3 great clans all lay on the ground, as if they didn't dare to challenge the dignity of their king. A peak intelligence enlightenment stage beast king had died in the hands of the black snake. The strongest among them was merely a 10th-grade demonic beast. What right did they have to clamor with Lin Yuan? Na Qin, you're in charge of guarding the captives. The wounded go back. Also, inform the wise ones to come and clean up the mess. Another batch of demonic beasts that can still fight, come with me. We'll go and help them. Lin Yuan's voice wasn't loud, but when it fell into the ears of the demonic beasts, it was as if even the sound of thunder and rain was suppressed. Very soon, there will be an explosive update event. At that time, there will be at least 8 chapters a day. Right now, I'm collecting chapters. Everyone, please be patient. Thank you very much. Chapter 87. Mountain Blocking City, City Lord Mansion. A middle-aged man with sinister eyes slowly raised his head. His long and narrow peach blossom eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Taisho, who was standing at the door of his study room. He said in a dignified tone, Captain Tai said that a war involving 4 clans has broken out in the Hengduan Mountains. Do you have any evidence? The 3-eyed ape of the Stony Stone clan is about to die. I don't think it's a secret. Under such circumstances, the Hunting Wind, Boulder, and Winterwolf clans are vying for the position of overlord. I don't think it's a secret either. In addition, there have been many Class 8 to Class 10 demonic beasts in the demonic beast forest near the Stoneclaw Forest recently. It's obvious that something has happened in the Stoneclaw Forest. With so many signs, why is the city lord still asking me for evidence? Taisho raised his eyebrows and said in a contemptuous tone, I heard that the imperial court transferred the city lord here to wash away the shame of signing the treaty back then, and bring the outer region of the Hungduan Mountains back into the hunting range of our dynasty. Now, you don't cherish such a good opportunity. Could it be that the city lord still wants to rest and recuperate? The city lord's face sank, but he didn't refute. He only frowned slightly and asked, Captain Tai, are you teaching me how to do things? This commoner doesn't dare. Tai Shou smiled and cupped his hands. I'm just teaching the city lord how to deal with demonic beasts. You. The city lord suddenly stood up, his gaze becoming increasingly sinister. Facing a heaven realm expert, Tai Shou wasn't afraid at all. He just said slowly, City Lord, I'm not asking you to take down the Stoneclaw Forest. As long as you agree to send troops to restrain the high-level demonic beasts that have fled into the demonic beast forest, I'll naturally bring my subordinates into the Stoneclaw Forest and wait for an opportunity to kill the beast kings of the 4 clans. There was no need to be too explicit when talking between smart people. The city lord had already reacted. Tai Shou was a demon slayer who made a living in the mountain-blocking city. Offending him would only bring more harm than good. However, he still chose to use such a tough attitude to request for the city lord to send troops. Obviously, Tai Shou had something important to do in the Hungduan Mountains. After pondering for a moment, the city lord slowly nodded his head and said in a deep voice, I will send troops to restrain the high-level demonic beasts in the periphery of the demonic beasts forest. But remember, if you don't get anything from this trip, you'll have to dig a hole in the Hungduan Mountains and bury yourself. It wasn't that he was intimidated by iron arms. It was just that the signs of war between the Stoneclaw Forest's 4 great clans were very obvious. As an imperial envoy sent by the imperial court to deal with the demonic beasts, if he didn't take any action at this time, the imperial court would definitely send someone to hold him accountable. It was even possible that he would be punished to the very end. Don't worry, City Lord. If I don't gain anything from this trip, I will bring my own head to see you. Tai Shou smiled and cupped his hands. His gaze landed on the city lord's long and narrow peach blossom eyes, but he was secretly puzzled in his heart. Ever since he left the Liu family, he had been unconscious at home for 3 days. Other than sending back the benefits that the Liu family had given him, he did not have any memories of that day. However, the killing intent in his heart towards that black snake had become increasingly obvious. If it was in the past, even if he had the guts as big as the sky, he would not dare to offend the city lord. But today, he did it so naturally that he felt a little strange. Half an hour later, a troop composed of heavily armored warriors, large shield soldiers, archers, and artillery slowly moved out of mountain-blocking city and plunged into the demonic beasts forest. All the demonic beasts that they encountered along the way were all killed. They only encountered a group of high-level demonic beasts after advancing for hundreds of miles. The 2 sides were divided by a river and began to enter a deadlock. However, neither side noticed that a team of 20 people, led by a figure in a black robe, was slowly making their way towards the Stoneclaw Forest along a small mountain path that was filled with thorns. 2 flowers bloomed, one on each side. Lin Yuan's gaze fell on all the demonic beasts that had chosen to bow their heads. They no longer dared to face the black snake that had killed Qin Yan. At the very least, before the outcome of the battle in Mengdu was decided, they no longer dared to resist. Ding! There is a new message in the war template. Please check it. Suddenly, a cold electronic synthesized voice sounded in Lin Yuan's mind, directly suppressing the words that Lin Yuan had prepared to use to boost morale. He could only use his mind to activate the war template, as if he had swallowed a fly. Force war template. Name: Battle for the Stoneclaw Forest. Ongoing. Attackers: Winter Wolf, Crack Rock, extremely weak. Defenders: Broken Stone, Blackwater, relatively weak. Evaluation: You have obtained the initial advantage. In a spurt of energy, you have completely defeated the enemy. Victory reward: Receive 300 war points. Failure punishment: Pay 300 war points. Isn't this good? Is this dog system lying to me again? A trace of doubt flashed in Lin Yuan's eyes. Ding, ding, ding. Feeling Lin Yuan's resentment, a red exclamation mark in the war template was jumping wildly. Lin Yuan tried to use his mind to tap on the jumping red exclamation mark. Suddenly, a new message appeared in front of Lin Yuan. Name: Black Snake Defense War Attackers. Lu Family of Mountain Blocking City, City Lord Mansion of Mountain Blocking City, Iron Hand Regiment. Yao Ming relatively weak. Defenders: Blackwater, Demonic Beast Forest Temporary Alliance, relatively weak. Victory Reward: receive 500 war points. Failure punishment: pay 500 war points. Note: this war is extremely special. The host cannot take the initiative to leave the war. The war will only end when the other party gives up, fails, or dies. The host must live well in this war to protect himself. What the hell? Lin Yuan almost vomited. Last time he had only killed 2 Class 9 demonic beasts, and the City Lord Mansion of Mountain Blocking City's relationship with him had fallen by a lot. This time, after he killed Chen Yan, the City Lord Mansion of Mountain Blocking City actually joined forces with the Lu family and the demon-subduing master to suppress him? Could it be that Chen Yan was also a demonic beast reared by the City Lord Mansion? Could it be that the City Lord of Mountain Blocking City also had something like a system? Otherwise, how could the City Lord Mansion of Mountain Blocking City form an army to suppress him right after he killed Chen Yan? Even those high-level demonic beasts who had escaped the war and hid in the demonic beast forest did not know about this. How did the humans know? However, what did Yao Ming mean? For a moment, Lin Yuan could not determine whether Yao Ming was a demonic beast or simply the name of a certain force. However, judging from the current situation, the main force of this army should have been blocked by the high-level demonic beasts who had escaped from the demonic beast forest. However, he could not rule out the possibility that the other party would send experts to kill him. Chapter 88. Lin Yuan swung his snake tail in annoyance. With the help of the system, he had already confirmed that the humans had begun to attack the Hengduan mountain range, and that they were coming for him. If it were any other time, the demonic beasts in the Hengduan mountain range would definitely join forces to deal with the humans. However, the 4 major clans were already in a frenzy, and it was impossible for them to make peace, let alone join forces against a common enemy. In addition, Lin Yuan had no way to explain how he had received news that the humans from Mountain Blocking City had begun to move towards the Stoneclaw Forest. Therefore, Lin Yuan directly rejected the plan of joining forces with the 3 major clans to fight against the humans. Let's end this quickly. Before they arrive, we must wipe out the 3 major clans. Lin Yuan's eyes were cold as he wriggled his black snake body and began to wriggle towards the center of the temporary campsite. There were more than 10 Class 9 demonic beasts blocking his way. Lin Yuan swung his snake tail impatiently and directly whipped these demonic beasts into a pile of minced meat. Other than pausing for a moment when he attacked, Lin Yuan did not stop at all. It was as if he did not believe that these Class 9 demonic beasts could withstand his attack. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing Class 9 demonic beast, Black Fox. 0. 3 attribute points gained. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing Class 9 demonic beast, Black Tortoise. 0. 1 attribute points gained. A series of system announcements rang out. Unfortunately, the attribute points that had been received were all 0 points. More than 10 demonic beasts did not even give Lin Yuan 5 attribute points. Before he reached the wisdom state, the benefits from those experts that he had to risk his life to kill were extremely small. However, the benefits from demonic beasts that were of the same level as him were even smaller. Therefore, he was now stuck in a position that was neither too high nor too low. This uncomfortable feeling made Lin Yuan's desire to complete the urgent mission even more urgent. Mendu, although you are publicly acknowledged as valiant, this king did not expect that you were actually hiding your strength. If this king had not been careful, this king would have lost his life just now. However, it's time for this king to show his prowess. 100-meter-long wolf with snow-white fur arched its body and slowly appeared in Lin Yuan's sight. The Blizzard of the Winterwolf clan was also the culprit who joined forces with the other 2 clans to attack the Stonestone clan, directly causing Lin Yuan's second emergency quest to start in hell mode. However, at this moment, Blizzard didn't look like a wolf king at all. Although his fur was still white, one of his hind legs was dragging on the ground. It was obvious that his bones were broken, and he couldn't exert any strength. From his previous words, it was obvious that this injury was caused by Mendo's fatal blow. Hiss! The snake flicked its tongue. Thick pillars of water gathered around Lin Yuan. In an instant, 9 water dragons appeared and charged towards Blizzard's back. The battle between demonic beasts was a battle of life and death. There was no such thing as learning from each other, or practicing with each other. Therefore, Lin Yuan's sneak attack was fast and ruthless. The 9 water dragons were aimed at Blizzard's hind leg that Mendu had broken. With his current strength, it was not an easy task to gather 9 water dragons under the pouring rain. On the way here, he had swallowed the corpses of 7 level 9 demonic beasts. The warm energy that had gathered in his body had been absorbed by the 9 water dragons. However, with the appearance of the 9 water dragons, Lin Yuan could clearly feel that 2/3 of the energy in his body had been sucked away. Oh! Blizzard didn't even turn its head and roared with a hoarse voice. The wind and snow rose slowly and froze the 9 water dragons one by one. In an instant, the 9 water dragons froze half a meter behind Blizzard. They could no longer move forward. Black Snake. Ping Qiu, who had also steadied himself, was shocked and subconsciously cried out in surprise. He clearly remembered that Chen Yan had led a group of elites to reinforce the mountain-quaking apes in order to stop them from attacking. After that, there was no news from them. He had thought that Chen Yan was devouring the Black Snake. But now, the Black Snake had led dozens of mountain-quaking apes, who were covered in wounds but had an unusually strong fighting spirit, to this place. Then, in the battle between Chen Yan and Black Snake, it was clear who had won and who had lost. In fact, this was also the reason why the cunning and calm Ping Qiu cried out in surprise. Among the 3 clans, the Xian Turtle clan was the best at defense. For example, Mendu's rod had broken one of Blizzard's legs. However, if the same attack landed on Chen Yan, it would at most crack his turtle shell. It wouldn't cause any serious injuries to Chen Yan. Black Snake. Blizzard's movements also stiffened. His face was ugly as he turned his head. He had never thought that Chen Yan would be defeated by the Black Snake. Even more so, he didn't think that the Black Snake would be able to defeat Chen Yan in such a short period of time. This unbelievable battle speed even made Blizzard suspect that Chen Yan had betrayed them and deliberately allowed the Black Snake to cause trouble. I didn't want to interfere in the battle between the 2 of you, but that big turtle is a little lacking. I've just warmed up and I want to exercise a little. I wonder which one of you is willing to be my opponent? Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils didn't blink. When his gaze landed on Ping Qiu and Blizzard, it didn't even cause a ripple in his eyes. This scene made Ping Qiu's heart sink. He looked at Blizzard with an embarrassed expression. It could faintly feel that the Black Snake was not bluffing. Instead, it really had the confidence to deal with one of them, and its chances of winning were not small. Otherwise, the Black Snake's eyes would not be so calm. Are you trying to trick me? Blizzard glanced sideways and said in a low voice, Ping Qiu, delay Mendu. This king can kill this arrogant Black Snake in 2 rounds. Ping Qiu's mouth twitched. He couldn't help but turn his head to look at Mendu, who was covered in scratches. His heart sank. The 2 beast kings couldn't take down Mendu even when they worked together. Now that Blizzard wanted him to delay Mendu alone, it meant that Blizzard was going to force him to fight Mendu until both of them were injured. Blizzard would then take advantage of the situation. Boom. 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 Mendu, who had already been arranged clearly, obviously wouldn't just stand by and watch 2 Beastmaster-level existences attack a mere level 10 Black Snake. Moreover, the Black Snake was originally an ally of the Shattered Stone clan, and getting rid of Chen Yan would be a great help to it. Humph. Ping Qiu snorted coldly. His glossy black fox body darted out, and stood in front of Mendu. He slowly raised his right paw, for sharp claws slowly emerged from his paw. His gaze was extremely cold. The explosive update event was cancelled. 6 updates today to make up for the missing updates from the past 2 days. 3 updates later, 50 monthly votes plus 1 update. Chapter 89. Mendu, you deal with that black fox first. This white dog can't do anything to me. Lin Yuan took the initiative to calm the restless men due with his mind. A strange look flashed across his blue-white vertical pupils. Blizzard's innate ability should be similar to its ability to control ice. Otherwise, it would not be able to freeze all 9 water dragons in an instant. In such a rainstorm, an existence with the innate ability to control ice would naturally have a lot of advantages. The raindrops that fell on him were the size of beans, but the ones that fell on others were sharp icicles. As expected, when Blizzard turned around and charged towards Lin Yuan, the raindrops around Lin Yuan had all condensed into sharp icicles, constantly smashing towards Lin Yuan. Although Lin Yuan dodged left and right, in such a dense rainstorm, as long as he was still within Blizzard's casting range, he would not be able to completely avoid the icicles. In a few breaths' time, Lin Yuan's body was cut into a bloody mess. A large amount of blood was squeezed out from the wounds. When it fell to the ground, it had already turned into red ice fragments. "Ha, little black snake, you didn't expect this, did you? In such weather, this king has an absolute advantage." Blizzard maintained its charging posture, its eyes full of a proud smile. However, very quickly Blizzard, who had experienced countless battles, grew from an ordinary wolf cub to the existence of the only leader of the Winterwolf clan today, looked suspiciously at Lin Yuan. It could not help but think to itself, is this kid really so weak? Doesn't it have a protective technique? Why isn't it using it? Not good. Blizzard suddenly realized that something was wrong. It looked at the ice sculpture beside it with a frightened expression. It found that the ice sculpture was still intact, but at this moment, the ice sculpture suddenly moved, as if it had transformed into 9 real divine dragons and directly swallowed Blizzard into its stomach. When a swordsman drew his sword, it only took a moment to kill the enemy. By the time Blizzard realized that something was wrong, it had already entered Lin Yuan's best attack range. Perhaps even it did not expect that the ice sculpture it created would become a cage to imprison itself. This is where empiricism is harmful. Lin Yuan had previously displayed his talent in controlling water, but there were very few monsters who had seen him use ice. Obviously, he was not in the battle for the blood spirit. Otherwise, he would not have fallen into Lin Yuan's trap so easily. Although this attack had succeeded, Lin Yuan's eyes still had a grave expression. Blizzard's innate ability was ice manipulation. Although his surprise attack could temporarily restrain Blizzard, he could not replicate the same move that killed Chen Yan. As time passed, his control over the ice sculpture was slowly being taken away by Blizzard. The Frost Wolf, who had been through many battles, knew very well that it was safest to stay in the ice sculpture at this moment. If it rushed out rashly, it was afraid that what greeted it would not be the free air, but Lin Yuan's merciless attack. The energy in his body was rapidly depleting. Lin Yuan even felt a trace of hunger. More than half of the control over the ice sculpture had been taken away. At least for now, he could not use the feedback of the ice element to find out where Blizzard was. Even what Blizzard was doing in the ice sculpture seemed to be covered by an invisible hand. Crack. With a loud sound, the ice sculpture shattered. Blizzard, whose face was full of shock, was once again exposed to the air. It looked at Lin Yuan in a daze. For a moment, it did not know how to describe it. This black snake's fighting style and innate ability were extremely terrifying. The moment it realized that it could no longer continue to fight for control of the ice sculpture, it actually detonated the ice element that it controlled. Although it did not hurt Blizzard, it destroyed the ice sculpture that was about to fall into Blizzard's hands. This was to prevent Blizzard's trap from being used against Blizzard. Facing an opponent of this level, Blizzard's thoughts were very complicated. If one had to pick the most accurate word, it would be that it wanted to kill Lin Huang. Although it would not be like Lin Yuan's novels in his previous life, saying something like, "This child must not be left alive, or else he will become a big problem in the future." It did not stop Blizzard from having this thought. After making up its mind, Blizzard's speed towards Lin Yuan increased again. It was as if it could press Lin Yuan into the mud in the next second, and give him a good beating. However, Blizzard was not the only one who displayed its full strength. When Blizzard exposed his innate ability to control ice, Lin Yuan did not intend to continue to receive the icicles with his physical body. Instead, he mobilized the control ability around him, and brought the ice element into his control bit by bit. Although he did not do it immediately, the icicles that fell from the sky could no longer touch Lin Yuan. "Little black snake, die for this king," Blizzard roared. Its body moved a few feet horizontally as if it had teleported, and appeared directly beside Lin Yuan. Its sharp wolf claws viciously clawed at Lin Yuan's vital point. Sweet rain chill. Lin Yuan's eyes widened. He did not expect Blizzard to have such a move. Although it was not teleportation, the speed it had just displayed was not inferior to teleportation at all. After observing for a while, Lin Yuan finally relaxed. At this moment, Blizzard was panting heavily, as if it could collapse from exhaustion at any time. As long as he received this attack, there was still a chance. Lin Yuan made up his mind and quickly pulled out the system interface. He roared in his heart, "Dog system." Golden body burst. At the same time, faint golden patterns appeared on most of Lin Yuan's body. But even so, the sense of danger in Lin Yuan's heart did not dissipate. Speed and movement would bring about an increase in strength. This was the result of the scientists in his previous life. Lin Yuan did not have the right to question it. Therefore, Lin Yuan believed that Blizzard had not hesitated to enter a weakened state to teleport just now. This meant that this claw attack was not as simple as it seemed. Blood boil technique. After activating the buff, Lin Yuan barely managed to calm down. He looked at Blizzard with a hint of mockery in his eyes, as if this was a sure kill attack from Blizzard. Lin Yuan felt as if he was flying in the sky, but Lin Yuan's expression was indifferent. It was as if he was asking, "That's it?" On the other side, Mendu had also defeated Ping Qiu several times with his stone staff. Only then did he take the time to look at Lin Yuan's battle situation, and immediately became anxious. After all, Blizzard was extremely fast. No matter how good Lin Yuan was at dodging, he could at most avoid his vital point, which was his vital point, and then wait for an opportunity to counterattack. Otherwise, he could be killed by Blizzard in one hit. Chapter 90. The sharp wolf claws were almost completely stuck to Lin Yuan's face. Even though they were only a few feet apart, Lin Yuan could clearly feel the terrifying chill coming from Blizzard's wolf claws. Not dodging. Blizzard was slightly startled. Looking at the black snake in front of him, who seemed to have been scared silly, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. In the next moment, 6 icicles rose from the ground and pierced Blizzard's abdomen. "A life for a life? You're not worthy." Killing intent flashed in Blizzard's eyes. The momentum of its wolf claws didn't decrease. It wasn't that it didn't want to, but it couldn't. It burst forth with its speed like an arrow leaving the bow. Even if its abdomen was a vital point, Blizzard had to risk getting injured to kill this black snake. Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils didn't show any emotions, but the bright red color in Lin Yuan's eyes proved that his current state of mind wasn't as calm as it seemed on the surface. The rank 2 golden body technique could withstand the force of the deep rock's bite, but could it withstand Blizzard's accelerated claw? Clang. Poochie. Almost at the same time, Blizzard's wolf claws touched Lin Yuan's forehead, but Lin Yuan's icicles also pierced Blizzard's abdomen. Large amounts of dark red blood flowed out, almost dyeing the icicles into pillars of blood. However, Lin Yuan only took 2 steps back slightly and neutralized Blizzard's claw power. This is Blizzard, who was hanging on the icicle, stared blankly at its right claw that had completely turned into stone. Its narrow eyes flashed with fear. The eyes of petrification was the famous technique of the three-eyed ape that dominated the Stoneclaw forest. Why did this black snake also know how? In the entire Stony clan, there was only one three-eyed ape that could use the eyes of petrification. It was said that the youngest of the three-eyed apes, a guy named Batu, had also inherited his father's eyes of petrification. However, his foundation had been severely damaged by the human demon slayer, and he had no hope of entering the wisdom realm in his lifetime. Naturally, he was unable to awaken the eyes of petrification. It was precisely because of the loss of the three-eyed ape's special ability that the beast kings of the 3 great clans, including Blizzard, had the idea of fighting for the position of the Stoneclaw Forest's overlord. No matter how strong Mendu was, it was not to the extent where they could not catch up. This was because in the ancient legends, The eyes of petrification was a sign of the mountain-shaking ape's bloodline returning to its ancestral roots. Once it appeared, it had the possibility of evolving into an even more powerful monster beast, and had the qualifications to step into the deeper regions of the Hungduan mountain range. Although the three-eyed ape was valiant, it was limited by its innate talent and had not stepped into the Mountain Lord realm. However, with the eyes of petrification, it was still able to move unhindered in the Stoneclaw forest. "It hurts, but it can't kill me." Lin Yuan communicated with Blizzard telepathically, and a look of ridicule flashed across his eyes. In the next instant, Lin Yuan swung his snake body. His speed was unbelievably fast, and in the blink of an eye, he left behind an afterimage. His tail struck Blizzard's body, which was hanging on the ice spike, and a cold murderous intent spread out. Lin Yuan's current attack power of 14 points, in addition to 1 point of true damage, was enough to cause Blizzard a lot of trouble, even though it could not cause any fatal damage to the Wolf King, who was at the peak of the wisdom state. On the other side, when Ping Qiu saw that Blizzard was injured, a look of shock flashed across his eyes. However, it was this momentary lapse of concentration that allowed Mendu to seize the opportunity. The 100-meter-long thick stone staff ruthlessly struck Ping Qiu's back from top to bottom. Crack. Even though they were a few hundred meters away, Lin Yuan could clearly hear the sound of bones cracking. The two Beast Kings were unable to take down Mendu even after joining forces. After Lin Yuan intervened in this battle, the outcome of the battle was immediately decided. Whether it was Blizzard, who had both his legs broken, or Ping Qiu, who had his spine broken, it was impossible for them to even escape, let alone pose a threat to Mendu. Boom. Boom. After Mendu severely injured Ping Qiu, he did not even look at Lin Yuan's battle situation. He took 2 steps forward, covering a distance of nearly 100 meters. A huge silver-white ape body appeared beside Ping Qiu's hand, and the stone staff in his hand landed heavily on Ping Qiu's face, which was filled with regret and indignation. Splat. The black fox's head shattered, and viscous liquid splattered more than 10 meters away. Roar! Roar! Mendu placed the stone staff in his hand beside him, and slapped his chest with both hands. He raised his head and let out an extremely violent roar against the rain. That was the roar of the mountain quaking apes, announcing their victory. Roar! 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 Almost at the same time, the roars of the mountain quaking apes joined together, and soared into the sky. The battle between the 3 Beast Kings and Ping Qiu had ended with the death of Chen Yan and Ping Qiu, and Blizzard heavily injured. Don't kill me. I'm willing to submit to you. I will never betray you again." Blizzard's weak voice rang out slowly. Mendu was slightly taken aback. Clearly, he did not expect Blizzard to still dare to attract his attention at this time. However, he did not kill Blizzard as decisively as Ping Qiu. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Lin Yuan's face. In the world of demonic beasts, there were not so many stupid rules like humans. However, there was one thing that was indisputable. The prey belonged to whoever killed it. Even if one's combat power far exceeded that of the killer, one could not casually snatch the spoils of war from the other party. In the world of demonic beasts, such a thing could be said to be an endless hatred. Eliminate all evil. Lin Yuan glanced at Blizzard, who was lying weakly on the ground, and replied expressionlessly. Mendu grinned and picked up the stone staff beside him again. He strode towards Blizzard, who was lying on the ground. Just as the thick stone staff was about to fall, 2 sharp rays of cold light suddenly swept out from the side of the forest, shooting straight towards Lin Yuan's snake body. It really came. Lin Yuan glanced in the direction of the cold light. He did not act carelessly and immediately dodged. As a human in the past, he had a thorough understanding of the methods of humans. Whether it was the large net that subdued him last time, or the various hidden weapons that were dipped in various poisons, they were all weapons that humans used to deal with demonic beasts. Even a ferocious existence like Mendu would immediately lose its ability to fight once it was injured by something like anesthetics. Therefore, Lin Yuan could calmly withstand the attacks of demonic beasts. However, when it came to the attacks of humans, even if it was just a small inconspicuous trap, Lin Yuan would avoid it with the greatest respect. Humans? Stepping into the Hungduan mountain range again? I think your mountain-blocking city doesn't want to exist anymore, right? Before Lin Yuan could speak, Mendu had already stopped and coldly looked in the direction of the hidden weapon that attacked Lin Yuan. What a good psychic, Black Snake. We have underestimated you previously. In such a short period of time, you have already reached the realm of a Class 10 demonic beast. You can even rely on your Class 10 demonic beast to fight against a wisdom perception great demon without falling into a disadvantageous position. Amazing, amazing. An expert from the human side also spoke. Chapter 91. Mendo's face darkened, and he subconsciously wanted to rush over. It was already an established fact that the three-eyed ape would not live for long. If the Black Snake could fulfill its promise, the Bata would become the Beast King of the Stoneclaw clan in the future. However, at this time, with the execution of the Beast Kings of the three major clans, Mendo was recognized as the king of the Stoneclaw forest. These humans from Zhanshan City did not take him, a Beast King, seriously at all. Lin Yuan's 100-meter-long snake body left an afterimage as it instantly came to Mendo's side. It raised its snake tail and blocked in front of Mendo. It slowly communicated with Mendo using its mind. Don't be fooled by these cunning humans. They may have already set up a trap while we were fighting. If you rush in recklessly, you'll be the one to suffer. You're not coming over? You're smart, Black Snake. It's a pity that I've carefully prepared a trap for you. The strong man who spoke before slowly walked out of the shadows of the forest. It was the leader of the Iron Hand Society, Iron Hand, who was scared away by Mendo before. However, at this moment, there was no trace of fear in his eyes. He just looked at Mendo coldly as if he was looking at a corpse. Lin Yuan was also slightly stunned. He still remembered when they were in the Forest of Monsters. Mendo and Na Qin had only shown their faces for a brief moment, and the monster-slaying group, which was well-equipped and had 2 airborne realm fighters, had quickly retreated, as if they did not want to clash with Mendo at all. It had only been a few days. This leader of the Iron Hand Society looked like he did not care about Mendo at all. Lin Yuan suddenly remembered the force called Yao Ming in the war model. Iron Hand's strength did not change at all, and the Iron Hand Society was still the same as last time he saw them. The only difference was that there were a few more people in their team, but there was nothing to be concerned about. There was only one person covered in a black robe who was in the airborne realm. How much of a chance did 3 airborne realm fighters have of winning against Mendo? Even though Mendo was injured, it was not something that any Tom, Dick, or Harry could deal with. Otherwise, they would not have been able to attack Zhanshan City and force the humans to sign an agreement that forbade them from hunting in the Hengduan Mountains. The black-robed man slowly took 2 steps forward. He lowered his voice and said, "I'll deal with the Black Snake. You guys go and stall that monkey. Once I've mastered my divine skill, I'll take off the monkey's head. It'll be as easy as taking something out of my pocket." "That's impossible. Why don't you hold Mendo back and let us deal with the Black Snake?" "Patriarch Lu, didn't you say that as long as we capture this Black Snake, our mission would be considered complete?" You rashly made a move and startled the entire clan, but you still want our Iron Hand Regiment to be your scapegoat? Another airborne realm fighter from the Iron Hand Society was the first to speak, glaring coldly at the black-robed man. "Fang Tian, shut up." A green light flashed in Iron Arm's eyes as he said in a sinister tone, "You and I will work together, and the rest of the team will support us. We will take down Men's capital. If you are unwilling, you can leave now." "Captain, the airborne realm fighter named Fang Tian choked, and the rest of his words were stuck in his throat. Being a demon slayer was too lucrative. Even father and son, or even brothers, would turn against each other for the sake of the rewards after the mission was completed. However, there was one thing that was almost equivalent to an unspoken rule. That rule was to never be cannon fodder. For a force like the Demon Slayer group that was similar to a mercenary force, even if they were recruited by the Imperial Court and given enough benefits, it would still be useless. They would only follow behind the Imperial Court's army and fight battles that went smoothly. At most, they would send a few demon slayers who were good at movement techniques to join the Imperial Court's army's scouting team to investigate the movements of monsters or carry out small-scale beheadings. The Iron Hand Regiment had been in Mountain Fence City for close to 30 years. While their captain was not someone who was afraid of death, he was definitely someone who was unwilling to be taken advantage of. But this time, the employer directly threw a person who wanted them to die, and the commander actually agreed without any hesitation. He only argued a few words, and the commander actually wanted to fall out with him? Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. Feng Tian was not the only one. Lin Yuan also realized that something was wrong with the Iron Hand Regiment. While he did not know much about the Iron Hand Regiment, when the Iron Hand Regiment's eyes flashed with a green light, it was recorded by his sense of smell. It was also at that moment that he sensed a faint trace of demonic aura from the human whose temperament had changed greatly. This guy was the so-called Demon Slayer. But what exactly was a Demon Slayer? Was it a puppet refined by a monster? Hiss. Huff. Mengdo took a deep breath and looked coldly at the black-robed man and the Iron Hand Regiment. He then turned his head to Lin Yuan and asked in a low voice, "Brother, how confident are you in dealing with that black-robed man?" "Not even a little." Lin Yuan shook his huge snake head, and an awkward look flashed in his eyes. From the black-robed man's words, he already knew the identity of the black-robed man. It was actually the Lu clan's patriarch who had been constantly targeting him. This time, he did not arrange for his subordinates to enter the Hengduan mountain range to search for him. Instead, he personally led the Iron Hand Regiment's demon-subduing master into the Stoneclaw forest. It was obvious that he was determined to capture him. After fighting several times, although Lin Yuan did not leave any survivors, the other party was still able to pinpoint his location so accurately. This meant that this Lu clan's patriarch must have some strange means. Facing such a situation, if Lin Yuan still maintained his confidence and fought with him, it would undoubtedly be suicide. Mengdo was stunned. Lin Yuan dared to directly fight an intelligence state great demon. Other than the Dove Snake, Blizzard and Chen Yan were both well-known beast kings in the Stoneclaw forest. These two existences had suffered great losses at the hands of Lin Yuan. Now, let alone the rumors that Lin Yuan had the strength to kill an intelligence state great demon. Even if it was boasted that Lin Yuan was second only to him, Mengdo would not hesitate to believe that Lin Yuan really had the strength to do so. Let alone the rumors that Lin Yuan had the strength to kill an intelligence state great demon. But at this moment, facing a tiny human hiding his head and tail, Lin Yuan actually said that he did not have the slightest confidence. Looking at Mengdo's expression that said, "Are you King kidding me?" Lin Yuan could only smile bitterly in his heart. It was not that he had not killed an intelligence state great demon before, but the 5 heavy armor warriors he killed last time were all heavily injured by the self-explosion of the mutated blood spirit. It was just that the mutated blood spirit did not finish them off, so he was able to take advantage of the situation. Including the Golden Dragon Saber, the Cold Wind Ring, and the cannons from the City Lord Mansion. These humans had given Lin Yuan many surprises time and time again. This time, Patriarch Lu was full of confidence and personally led the team into the Hengduan mountain range. He definitely did not think that Lin Yuan was still in the realm of a Class 7 great demon. He was most likely preparing a trump card for himself as an intelligence state great demon. Chapter 92. Don't go all out. Try to stall for time and wait for the sage and our reinforcements to arrive. Lin Yuan instructed Mengdo in a low voice. Then he turned his blue-white eyes and looked at Clan Head Lu. Clan Head Lu shrugged his shoulders indifferently and said with a smile, "Black Snake, I should be thanking you. You saved the most outstanding disciple of our Lu clan's younger generation. If you were a human, I would definitely reward you handsomely. But unfortunately, you are a demonic beast. So, I can only kill you. If I let you continue to grow, you will definitely become a scourge for the human race in the future." T. So what if I'm a demonic beast? Do demonic beasts deserve to die? Lin Yuan glanced at Clan Head Lu from the corner of his eyes. He almost couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. He had a little understanding of the structure of this world. He didn't know what the demonic beasts had done in the past, But today, the demonic beasts could only hide in places like the Hungduan Mountains and struggle at death's door. Only a few existences at the level of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas were qualified to walk freely on the continent. The low-level demonic beasts in the demonic beast forest not only had to survive under the jaws of other demonic beasts, but they could also become prey in the eyes of the demon slayers at any time. Their fur was made into clothes and armor, their bones and claws were made into weapons, and their flesh was cooked in various ways. All the demonic beasts that died in the hands of humans didn't even have a complete corpse left. Even if the demonic beasts didn't do anything, countless demon slayers would be attracted to the Hungduan mountain range to hunt for demonic beasts. Do humans have to be high and mighty? Do demonic beasts deserve to become food in the stomachs of humans? Clan Head Lu sneered and stretched his body. He slowly took off his black robe, revealing an ashen face. He said in a strange tone, "We humans are the true rulers of this continent. You were born to be slaughtered by us humans. This is an indisputable fact. Do you think those demonic beasts in the Hungduan mountain range really fought for their own territory? Ridiculous. You are nothing but livestock raised by us humans. Now that I need your flesh, you should die in my hands. It's as simple as that." Raised livestock? Whether it was Lin Yuan or Mendu, at this moment, their faces were extremely gloomy. The Hungduan mountain range occupied the central region of the continent. If the 7 great dynasties wanted to enter the other party's territory at the fastest speed, they had to cross this boundless mountain range. Although the various races in the Hungduan mountain range were not comparable to the 4 great dragon palaces, the power of all the demonic beasts living here could easily destroy the so-called human dynasties. This human actually dared to utter such nonsense in the Hungduan mountain range? You're dead. There is no longer any need for mountain blocking city to exist. Your Lu family will also be exterminated by my gravel family. Mengdo's silver-white hair that was drenched by the rain stood up, and his eyes were bloodshot. Boom, boom, boom. Mengdo took a step forward and directly rushed towards the arrogant Lu family head, completely ignoring Lin Yuan's warning. At this moment, Mengdo was extremely angry. His heart was no longer burning with anger, but an erupting volcano. "Fang Tian, do it!" Iron Arms called out, and without turning his head back he charged towards Mengdo. The members of the Iron Hand Society also took off their cloaks, revealing blades that emitted a cold glint, as well as the crossbows hidden under their cloaks. Although the arrowheads were clearly made of metal, there wasn't the slightest bit of coldness that belonged to metal emanating from them. Obviously, these crossbow bolts were all coated with poison. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Bolts shot out from the crossbows one after another. The density of the bolts wasn't the slightest bit inferior to the rain falling from the vault of heaven. However, the bolts accurately avoided Steel Arms and Fang Tian, who were leading the charge, and directly rushed towards the door. Moreover, the bolts were much faster than Steel Arms and Fang Tian. Mengdo swung the stone staff in his hand, and directly formed a barrier in front of him. The crossbow bolts clanged as they hit the barrier in front of Mengdo, and fell to the ground. "Die for me." Iron Arms, who was following closely behind, growled. His body suddenly expanded, and directly turned into a 3-meter-tall burly man in front of Mengdo. The clothes on his body were directly torn apart, revealing his hands that were hidden under his clothes. A pair of metal gloves instantly broke through the curtain of rain, and blasted towards Mengdo in front of him. "Ridiculous." Mengdo sneered. His right hand controlled the stone staff to block the crossbow bolts, and his left hand similarly smashed out a fist. The 3-meter-tall Iron Arms might be considered a giant among humans, but in front of a 100-meter-tall demonic beast, he was still as laughable as an ant. Bang! Taisho's legs paused and then slightly bent. The ground beneath his feet immediately crumbled. At the same time, Taisho's body abruptly shot up. He actually did not attempt to dodge, but rather he directly faced Mendo's fist. This kind of action, even if it was done by an airborne realm expert, could only be described with one word: courting death. It was not that there were no strong people among humans who had tempered their physique, and there were even some who were more tyrannical than demonic beasts. However, such existences were all in the Heaven Star realm or even higher. In other words, demonic beasts below the Heaven Star realm were invincible. Iron Arms, a mere airborne realm expert, actually wanted to meet Mengdo's fist head-on? Here. Feng Tian, who was following closely behind Iron Arms, also roared at this moment. His body strangely rotated 270 degrees, and a cold light directly shot out from his hand. That was a spear. A great spear that was 18 feet long. Although it was a great spear in the eyes of humans, in Mengdo's eyes, this great spear was not even comparable to a toothpick. Even so, Mengdo had no choice but to respond. His 150-meter-tall body suddenly shrunk, and once again returned to the size when Lin Yuan first met him. He was even shorter than a normal ape. It was also because Mengdo suddenly shrunk his body that most of the arrows, Iron Arms punches, and Feng Tian's great spear all missed. This wave of perfect dodging caused Lin Yuan to frown slightly. An incomparably violent warrior like Mengdo actually gave up on attacking and dodged. What exactly was that great spear thrown by that human just now? Demon Buster Spear? Mengdo exclaimed, and the fury in his eyes dissipated a little. Obviously, the great spear thrown by Feng Tian previously made him extremely fearful. Heh, you're quite knowledgeable. Feng Tian sneered. His feet stepped on the ground, and his body swept forward like a ghost again. Iron Arms, who was in midair, changed his attack. He grabbed the Demon Buster Spear that was shooting at him from behind. The air under his feet suddenly stagnated, and Iron Arms actually completed a wave of air borrowing force, and turned around to attack Mengdo again. Chapter 93. Iron Arm, who was wielding the Demon Buster Spear, descended from the sky. His eyes were no longer clear as they were completely replaced by a green glow. Captain! Feng Tian opened his mouth and felt an unusual bitterness in his mouth. This Demon Buster Spear that even the sect was wary of was actually just a standard weapon produced by the 7 great dynasties. As long as one could pay a sufficient price, one could exchange for a Demon Buster Spear from a certain dynasty's military. The one in Feng Tian's hand came from a battle to exterminate demonic beasts. Nearly 7 million humans and demonic beasts had died on that battlefield. Feng Tian, who was lucky enough to survive, also received a Demon Buster Spear as a reward that was better than nothing. Why was it better than nothing? Because the Demon Buster Spear was very powerful. Although it was just a standard weapon, the Demon Buster Spear had almost no upper limit. It was said that as long as the user was willing, even his essence, chi, and spirit could be infused into the Demon Buster Spear. At the cost of his own life, he could release the strongest attack of his life. Similarly, if the energy infused into the Demon Buster Spear was not enough, it would not be much stronger than an ordinary spear. Now, in order to kill Mengdo, Iron Arm actually infused everything he had into the Demon Buster Spear without holding back. Once this spear landed, regardless of whether Mengdo would die or not, Iron Arm would not have any chance of survival. Feng Tian could not understand why his captain, who had been with him for so many years, would suddenly become a different person. This act of using his own life in exchange for Mengdo's life was already beyond an employment relationship. Even if Iron Arm wanted to be family head loose dog, he should not be willing to do this. As Lin Yuan watched the battle between Iron Arm and Mengdo, a look of shock flashed across his vertical pupils. He did not know what the Demon Buster Spear was, but he could feel that the huge spear was emitting extremely terrifying energy. Even if he used his Stage 2 Golden Body technique to take it, he would be shattered on the spot. However, fear was one thing. Lin Yuan's attention was on something else. Ding! Congratulations to the host. You have eliminated the Hunting Wind and Boulder clans. You have successfully completed the second stage of the advancement mission Disposition of the Owl Snake. Completion rate is 77%. Completion evaluation is A-. Rewards are being calculated. Host has eliminated the Boulder clan's patriarch, Chen Yan. Host has obtained 5 attribute points, Mystic Turtle Shell X1. Host has defeated Winterwolf clan leader Blizzard. Host has gained 2 attribute points, Frost Wolf Claw X1. The host has killed a certain number of black foxes, a certain number of frost wolves, and a certain number of black tortoises. Obtained 11 attribute points. Settlement complete. The host has received a total of 18 attribute points and 2 materials, already in the resource warehouse. Congratulations to host for obtaining victory in the Stoneclaw Forest battle. You have gained 300 war points. The war treasury has now been opened. Host can enter the war treasury at any time to exchange war points for items. Congratulations to the host for completing the second stage of the promotion mission. The final stage of the promotion mission is now unlocked. Name: Alserpent's Form Stage 3, Throne of Corpses. Description: you are now one of the strongest monsters in the Stoneclaw Forest. The Frost Wolf, Black Fox, and Black Tortoise clans have all bowed down to you. As long as you are willing, you can rise to the top at any time and become the new king of the Stoneclaw Forest. However, how can a true king of beasts only have the corpses of monsters under him? Quest requirements: personally kill Yao Ming, Patriarch Lu, and a member of the Iron Hand Society. Killing one of the 3 is considered to have completed the quest. Mission reward: based on the degree of completion failure penalty, the system will automatically strip the host of the rights to evolve. A series of system notifications kept ringing in Lin Yuan's mind. In just a few breaths of time, Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils flashed with a cold light. Glancing at his attribute panel, he realized that there was a huge number of 21 behind his attribute points. The system did not give an answer for the time being about how many attribute points were needed to advance from a level 10 monster beast to a wisdom state monster beast, but Lin Yuan already had a general idea. It should hover between 20 and 50 points. That is to say, it is very likely that Lin Yuan will become a real wisdom state monster beast when all his attributes exceed 100 points. System: can I add points now? Lin Yuan took a deep breath and asked tentatively. The host can add points after completing the second phase of the quest. However, the points cannot exceed grade 1 of the intelligent perception realm. Even if the points reach the requirements, before completing the final phase, the host cannot evolve into an intelligent perception monster. The system's voice slowly sounded. At the end, it added a sentence full of evil humor. Simply put, the host can have the strength of grade 1 of the intelligent perception realm at most. However, after the attribute points reach the requirements, the host cannot become stronger. Furthermore, the host cannot enjoy the benefits of healing his injuries after advancing. Lin Yuan sneered and ignored the system's evil humor. Instead, he silently used the system to add points. Host: Lin Yuan status: Sky-piercing black python, in the process of transforming into a flood dragon, realm. 10 out of 10 innate skills. 1. Distinguish the enemy's location based on smell, cannot advance. 2. Create an accurate image of a 500-meter radius around the body based on smell, 0/103. Water/ice control, 0/104. Blood sacrifice wish technique. Make a wish using one's own blood or another creature's blood. Can be replaced by attribute points, as a sacrifice. Whether the wish is fulfilled or not depends on the strength of the wish and the quality of the sacrifice. 5. Flood Dragon Snake Scale Armor. When the scale armor is in good condition, it can provide the host with a 20% increase in defense. Speed: 24 plus 1 defense, 23 plus 6. 6 attack, 25 plus 1 allocable points. 0 martial arts. Golden Body Secrets, 70 out of 100 skills. 1. Death Coil, 145 of 300. 2. Poison of Poison Wine, 78/303. Tail Strike, 25 out of 104. Blood Boil Technique, 2 out of 105. All things have spirit, can be used to communicate with other creatures. Cannot advance. Items: damaged light feather, can be repaired. Eye of Petrification. Name: light feather, already damaged. Effect: speed +1 upon equipping. Additional skill: light feather wind skill. Light feather wind. When you fall from a high place, you can glide for a short period of time. Note: the cost of repairing an item is 10 attribute points. Name: Eye of Petrification effect. No equipment effects. Additional skills: Sharp Perception. Light of Petrification skills. 1. Sharp Perception. You who have a third eye have vision and senses that normal people can't reach. 2. Light of Petrification. Use demonic chi to activate the Eye of Petrification. It can shoot out a ray of light that can petrify living creatures. A total of 21 attribute points, 10 points in speed and 11 points in attack. After distributing them, all of Lin Yuan's attributes had exceeded 20 points. Every single one of them had reached the peak of a rank 10 demonic beast. With the addition of the Flood Dragon scale armor, Lin Yuan's defense had even exceeded this limit. Although he was quite satisfied with his growth, Lin Yuan also discovered a very important problem. No matter how many times he used the water/ice control innate skill, no matter what kind of opponent he faced, it had never increased in proficiency. Chapter 94. At this moment, Lin Yuan suddenly felt a burst of heat on his forehead. That was the area covered by the Eye of Petrification. Although the Eye of Petrification didn't allow Lin Yuan to grow a third eye after equipping it, the keen perception attribute was still in effect. After the Eye of Petrification gave him a warning, Lin Yuan didn't hesitate for a moment. His huge snake body twisted into a ball, and strangely pulled away a distance of nearly 20 meters. Only then did he stabilize his body and look at the area he was previously in. More than 10 sharp metal square cards were embedded in the damp soil. Seeing that Lin Yuan had dodged his attack, Patriarch Lu suddenly grinned and revealed a cold smile. "Oh, I thought you were scared, silly. Turns out your reaction is still so sharp. You're courting death." Lin Yuan spat out his snake's forked tongue and shot up, heading straight for Patriarch Lu. All of his attributes had exceeded 20 points. Even if he had already lost the bonus of the blood boil technique, Lin Yuan still had the confidence to fight against an airborne realm human. Moreover, the three-eyed ape was probably already on its way here. As long as he could delay these humans, he might be able to successfully complete the final advancement quest. It was still the same old saying. Although the system had always tricked Lin Yuan, making him hover on the edge of life and death time and time again, and when it issued quests recently, it would often remove the system's punishment if the quest failed. However, the system would never issue a quest that was sure to kill Lin Yuan. Even when it was the time with the mutated blood spirit, the system still modified the quest in time. Since the quest's punishment was so resolute, that meant that under the system's detection, Lin Yuan had a chance of winning. "Not running? You've got guts." Patriarch Lu sneered and spread his hands behind his back. Sharp metal cards formed an indestructible metal barrier behind him. This method was somewhat similar to the 10,000 swords return to origin that Lin Yuan had seen in movies and TV series in his previous life. However, when the swords were replaced with these metal cards, although they were still visually impactful, Lin Yuan's first reaction wasn't an unbeatable sense of oppression. "Black Snake, I know you have a lot of doubts. For example, why am I so against you? Before you died, I mercifully told you that what I am cultivating is not the orthodox cultivation method of humans, but an evil cultivation method that requires me to continuously devour demon beasts in order to become stronger. Recently, there have been some problems with my cultivation, and I urgently need dragon blood to neutralize the rampaging energy in my body. But I never thought that before I could find any traces of a dragon descendant, I would find you, an ancient remnant species that is even more precious than the dragon clan." Patriarch Lu controlled as he controlled the cards to approach to Lin Yuan. He revealed a mocking smile and said in a cold voice, "You are a gift from the heavens. When I see you, I can even feel the blood in my body. As long as I eat you. And I will of the world of the world of the world of the world. Of the world of the world of the world of the world of the world. Lin, the taller, the wind the wind." This old saying from his previous life was still effective even in a different world. He had just shown a little bit of spiritual wisdom when he came to this world, but he was targeted by a pervert like family head Lu. This was something that he had never expected. "Something is wrong. You are not human. Or rather, you are not Patriarch Lu." After dodging again, there was a bit of surprise in Lin Yuan's eyes. When the green light flashed in Iron Arm's eyes, Lin Yuan noticed a trace of demonic aura. But when Patriarch Lu attacked him, his body was definitely filled with demonic aura. It was impossible for humans to condense demonic aura, no matter how strange the cultivation method was. Different species were different. Seeing Lin Yuan speak, Patriarch Lu's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise, but he quickly hid it. He still maintained the control cards in his hand to attack Lin Yuan, but his voice was much colder. I didn't expect that this black snake of yours would have some skills. Yes, this body is not human, but I am the ancestor of the Lu family. Black snake, you are just a demonic beast. How can you understand the world of the human world? Even if I said it, would you be able to understand the principle of a rich man not being in danger? What kind of rich man are you? Lin Yuan sneered as he dodged the cards. The snake's tongue quietly protruded, and it began to scan the surroundings with its sense of smell. The system would not give out a mission for no reason. Iron Arms might not be a demonic beast, but the Patriarch Lu in front of him was definitely a demonic beast. But the system labeled Patriarch Lu and demonic beast separately. This meant that the real Patriarch Lu had also come to the Stoneclaw Forest. It was just that the current situation was not clear, so he had not shown himself. Underground. Lin Yuan's body suddenly stopped. Dozens of metal cards bombarded Lin Yuan's body, clashing with his golden body and sending a lot of sparks flying. In the image created by the sense of smell, a humanoid creature was hiding about 200 meters below the demonic beast. The aura on the creature was also at the airborne realm, and it came from the same source as the demonic beast. It was obvious that the Patriarch Lu was the one who had refined the demonic beast. At the moment, the creature was hiding underground because it was inconvenient for him to move, or because he wanted to deal a fatal blow to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan still maintained his style of advancing instead of retreating after detecting the enemy's tracks. He gritted his teeth and approached the area where the demonic beast was. The light golden snake's body swung wildly, avoiding all the parts that had not been tempered by the golden body burst. He had no idea what the metal cards were made of, but the damage they caused to his golden body was definitely not small. In just a short while, Lin Yuan even felt that part of his golden body had cracks on it, as if it was about to collapse at any moment. You sure have some tricks up your sleeve, Black Snake. You can actually resist my life-sealing card. Seeing that Lin Yuan was advancing instead of retreating, Yao Ming did not show any panic in his eyes, nor did he have any intention of retreating. He waved his hand, and the metal cards gathered behind him, forming a semicircular fan again. Every metal card was interlocked, as if they had always been like this and had only been separated at the last minute. One end of the fan was extremely sharp. Under the refraction of the rain and sunlight, it flashed with a frightening cold light. Lin Yuan was still twisting his snake's body quickly. His blue-white vertical pupils stared at the fan behind Yao Ming. A crazy look gradually appeared in Lin Yuan's eyes. You still don't want to hide? You have a death wish. Yao Ming saw that Lin Yuan was still approaching quickly. His eyes flickered slightly, as if he was thinking about what Lin Yuan was relying on. However, at times like this, combat instincts were often controlling the body. So, even if Yao Ming had not figured out what Lin Yuan was thinking, it did not stop him from attacking. Whoosh! With a sharp sound of the wind, the fan suddenly swept out. Its speed was even faster than the metal cards from before. Chapter 95. 150 meters. 100 meters. 60 meters. 30 meters. The distance between Lin Yuan and Yao Ming rapidly shrank. At this moment, the fan that Yao Ming had unleashed finally arrived in front of Lin Yuan. The incomparably sharp metallic edge was almost pressed against Lin Yuan's head. Joy flashed through Yao Ming's eyes. The life-sealing card was a very special weapon. Without reaching the airborne realm, it was impossible to use spiritual chi to activate the life-sealing card. There were a total of 64 life-sealing cards. If they were separated, they would still be treasures that could cut through metal like mud. However, they were not enough against a true expert. As such, Yao Ming was not surprised when the scattered cards failed to break through Lin Yuan's scales. If an ancient remnant was so easy to deal with, how could it be something that countless cultivators dreamed of? However, the life-sealing cards had other forms apart from being scattered. For example, The current fan was one of them. The power that erupted from the 64 life sealing cards when gathered together was definitely much more terrifying than when the scattered cards attacked separately. Tail strike. Lin Yuan suddenly leapt into the air. The huge fan swept past Lin Yuan and heavily embedded itself into the moist ground. It instantly created a pit that was nearly 100 meters deep. Surprise flashed through Yao Ming's eyes when he saw that Lin Yuan had dodged his fatal attack. However, when he saw that Lin Yuan was still heading straight for him, Yao Ming reacted decisively. He pushed off the ground and directly pulled back. However, what Yao Ming did not expect was that when he dodged Lin Yuan's attack, a look of excitement suddenly flashed through Lin Yuan's eyes. He was like a child who had succeeded in his prank. Could it be? Suddenly, a thought flashed through Yao Ming's mind. Boom! Lin Yuan's snake tail was like the tip of a spear. It stabbed into the moist ground. With his current offensive power, there was no obstruction at all. He directly dug a deep pit in the ground. Moreover, his huge snake body continuously rotated like a drill. In just a few breaths, large chunks of flesh and blood were suddenly squeezed out of the pit. Yao Ming stared at this scene in a daze. He was unable to react for a long time. Arg! 2 breaths later, Yao Ming suddenly opened his mouth and let out an incomparably miserable shriek. His body began to sway, and his eyes were completely occupied by a green light. I'll kill you! Kill you! Kill you! It was as if Yao Ming had lost all reason. He no longer had the arrogance that he had when he first spoke, nor did he have the mockery that he had when he released the life-sealing tablet. At this moment, Yao Ming seemed to have lost his mind. After the green light in his eyes scattered, only endless coldness and killing intent remained. TSK, how troublesome. Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao Ming, Yao 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 and Yao Yao. From the information he had obtained, the patriarch of the Lu family did indeed practice an evil technique related to monsters. The Yao Ming he faced was an evil thing created by this evil technique. Lin Yuan did not have much confidence in facing Yao Ming head-on. However, the knowledge he had accumulated from his previous life told him that as long as he killed the person controlling the puppet would definitely become paralyzed. As a result, Lin Yuan had charged over while enduring Yao Ming's injuries after learning of the patriarch of the Lu family's true hiding place. However, Yao Ming did not become paralyzed like he had expected after the patriarch of the Lu family was ground to a pulp. Instead, he became even more deranged. After all, as far as Lin Yuan knew, Yao Ming should not be able to stray too far from the patriarch of the Lu family. Otherwise, the patriarch of the Lu family would not be lying 200 meters underground. Yao Ming's method of controlling Yao Ming was clearly soul control. He had temporarily given up control of his own body and continued to control the puppet that could not be damaged. In that case, everything would be fine as long as he killed the patriarch of the Lu family. However, what had happened was already beyond Lin Yuan's control. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully killing the patriarch of the Lu family. You have obtained 5 attribute points. The system notification rang out in Lin Yuan's head, completely shattering the last trace of doubt in his heart. It made him certain that the person he had just killed was the patriarch of the Lu family. Black Snake, I will tear you to shreds. It's all because of you that I am trapped in this puppet body. I will also refine you into a puppet. Yao Ming's current state was somewhat similar to that of a wrestler who was going all out against a door. While Lin Yuan's guess was not entirely correct, the patriarch of the Lu family had indeed used his soul to control Yao Ming. Now that his body had been completely destroyed by Lin Yuan, his soul naturally had no place to return to. He could only temporarily reside in this puppet. However, Yao Ming's kinetic energy was not endless, especially without the supply of spiritual qi from its master. Every bit of energy consumed by Yao Ming would be reduced. Even if he could find a way to replenish his energy in the future, it would be useless. This was because Yao Ming was made from an airborne realm corpse that the patriarch of the Lu family had specially found. Regardless of how powerful he was, there was no way he could raise a dead corpse's realm. The plan to devour the Black Snake and enter the heavenly strength realm had only just begun, and it had already ended in failure. Boom! The pale golden snake tail collided with the green hands of the puppet. Yao Ming's feet stomped on the ground, creating 2 long trenches. It was almost as if an invisible force had dragged it back for more than 600 meters. Its hands were completely bent, making it almost impossible to see their original shape. After stabilizing its body, it remained motionless. It was impossible to tell whether it was still alive or dead. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, was obviously not in a good state from the instant collision. The golden body on the snake tail was instantly covered with cracks. The black cracks looked like a dense spider web. There were even black scales at the center of the collision. Yao Ming's attack had actually broken through his golden body? Lin Yuan was both shocked and furious. His face was full of disbelief. If that attack from Yao Ming was converted into attack power, could it have dealt nearly 9,000 damage? However, after carefully sensing it, Lin Yuan felt that something was not quite right. If his golden body was broken, it meant that the opponent's attack had far exceeded the limit of what he could withstand by 300 times. This data was even under the effect of the Tier 2 Golden Body Technique's 45% damage immunity. If such power were to hit him, he would have been reduced to minced meat in an instant. However, at this moment, Lin Yuan only felt that the snake's body, which was about 20 meters up from the tip of its tail, had completely lost all feeling. Even moving was an extravagant hope. He could only rely on the area around his belly to stabilize his body. He could no longer use tail strikes or catapults. However, he was still far from being reduced to mincemeat. This damage was very freaking weird. Chapter 96. Lin Yuan and Patriarch Lu separated as soon as they made contact. They looked at each other from a distance of more than 600 meters. Patriarch Lu licked his lips as a sinister look flashed across his eyes. He didn't expect the black snake to survive his attack. At this moment, he couldn't help but lower his head to look at his extremely twisted hands. A complicated and obscure look flashed across his eyes. Although Yao Ming had followed Iron Arms and the others over mountains and rivers to this place, his main body had already used a burrowing talisman to sneak under the Stoneclaw Forest's battlefield. Therefore, he had a panoramic view of Lin Yuan's previous performance. Even Chen Yan, who was in the wisdom state, couldn't bite through Lin Yuan's shell. Even Chen Yan's innate attack, which could collapse the heavens and earth, could only injure Lin Yuan's flesh, which didn't turn pale gold. Later on, although Lin Yuan had used the Eyes of Petrification to plot against him, Patriarch Lu had estimated that even if Blizzard's full-strength attack landed on Lin Yuan, its sharp claws might not be able to tear through Lin Yuan's scales. Therefore, when he provoked Lin Yuan, he had already made full preparations. He had already stuck a low-grade armor penetration talisman on his palm. He was betting that the attack just now would be able to shatter the black snake's scales, and let this damned black snake experience the pain of being skinned. The layer of pale gold scales on Lin Yuan's body was indeed shattered, but the effect wasn't as outstanding as Patriarch Lu had expected. This was because the area where Lin Yuan's pale gold scales were shattered was only the area where his fists collided. Moreover, after the pale gold scales were shattered, a layer of black scales was revealed. Could it be that this black snake had 2 layers of scales? Thinking of this, Patriarch Lu couldn't help but shudder. Everyone knew that snake-type demonic beasts had to shed their original skin if they wanted to grow. Ever since this black snake was discovered by the Lu clan, it had grown from a small snake that was a few meters long to a giant python that was 100 meters long. However, it didn't seem to have shed its skin at all. If one had to attribute it to the uniqueness of an ancient remnant beast, it wouldn't be impossible. However, he had never heard of an ancient remnant beast that could grow 2 layers of skin. Furthermore, each layer had an astonishing defensive power. Ding! Alien energy has been detected. Host's golden body incantation has been broken. Calculating losses. Ding! Settlement complete. Host's cultivation has been broken by the low-grade yellow tier, armor break talisman. Golden body secrets proficiency has decreased by 2 points. The sound of the system notification broke the silence. Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils suddenly shrank. When he looked in the direction of Patriarch Lu, there was only a murderous intent left in his eyes that made Patriarch Lu shudder. Every time the second stage golden body secrets increased 1 point of proficiency, it would cost him 11 attribute points. However, if he were to cultivate by himself, based on the original first stage golden body secrets cultivation speed, Lin Yuan felt that even if he ate all the demonic beasts in the Stoneclaw forest that could provide him with energy, he might not be able to refine his 2-meter snake body. Patriarch Lu's desperate punch had caused him to lose a total of 22 attribute points. Subconsciously, he wanted to charge in Patriarch Lu's direction. However, the waves of pain coming from his body allowed him to regain some clarity. At least, he was no longer as violent as he was at the start. Moreover, although his thoughts were clear, the injury on the snake's tail seemed to be more serious than he had imagined. It actually ignored the commands from his brain. Cough. Patriarch Lu coughed out a mouthful of black viscous liquid and sneered. Looks like your demonic snake isn't that powerful. I thought you were really unharmed. Now you can't even move, right? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly. There were 3 completion conditions for the final stage of the urgent mission. The mission to kill Patriarch Lu had already been ticked by the system. The mission to kill the demonic centipede and kill the members of the Iron Hand Society had yet to be completed. However, at the bottom of the mission, a submit button had already appeared. It seemed to be tempting Lin Yuan. As long as he submitted the mission now, he would immediately become an intelligent demonic beast. Lin Yuan sneered and decisively closed the mission that had popped up. He was very clear about the nature of the system. This plaything probably felt that he could not wait to skin Patriarch Lu alive. Therefore, it took the initiative to pop up this notification to make Lin Yuan give up on the mission's other rewards. If I can't move, do you think you can move? Don't forget where you are. Even if I can't move, I can still guarantee my own safety. However, if you are trapped here, what do you think will happen to you? Lin Yuan began to communicate with Patriarch Lu using his thoughts and began to shoot his mouth off. This old man's body has already been crushed by you. What else can I care about? Do you really think that the friendship between demonic beasts is so reliable? Black Snake, you have dragon blood in your body. As long as they eat your flesh, even an ordinary beast can become a powerful demonic beast. Tell me, if I were to tell them that you can't even move right now, would those demonic beasts that are rushing over swarm over, lie on your body and gnaw on your flesh and blood? Ha 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 ha. Patriarch Lu suddenly laughed heartily. He seemed to be very satisfied with his idea of taking revenge on the Black Snake. From what you're saying, you think that because you are an idiot, the other creatures are also idiots. My reputation is well known in this forest. Even if those demonic beasts have designs on me, do you think they can really bite through my scales? If their greed is aroused by you and they can't do anything to me, you will definitely die a painful death. Lin Yuan's eyes flashed with contempt. Hearing this, Patriarch Lu's eyes flashed with shock. There was really something wrong with this Black Snake. When he was talking to this Black Snake that was growing at an extremely fast speed, he didn't feel the childlike naivety of other demon beasts. On the contrary, he felt that the Black Snake in front of him was like an old fox that had seen the vicissitudes of life. Its reaction and intelligence were simply outrageous. When he said those words, he thought that he could see the Black Snake's frightened expression. Even if it couldn't move now, it should at least seek psychological satisfaction, right? In the end, the Black Snake's indifferent expression added a layer of psychological pressure to him. Haha, I am already a dead man. Now that a wisp of my soul occupies a corpse, do you think I will still be afraid of death? Low-level demonic beasts can't deal with you, but if the news that you can't move spreads, many demonic beasts will come here from afar. Even some powerful demon slayer masters won't let you go. I want to know why you are so fearless. Patriarch Lu sneered and replied. Chapter 97. Don't play this game with me. For someone like you who's afraid of death, even if you didn't guess that I could discover your true body, you must have made other preparations. Aren't you bickering with me to stall for time, so that your backup plan can take effect? I'm guessing that your backup plan is Iron Hands, right? The remaining one-third of energy in Lin Yuan's body slowly circulated and began to repair the injuries on his body. As time passed, he felt that the pain coming from the snake's tail area was getting clearer and clearer. However, Lin Yuan was getting happier and happier. After all, if he could feel pain, it meant that the injured area was recovering well. Otherwise, if he couldn't feel any pain, it meant that the nerves were dead. It was like cutting off your arm and throwing it on the ground. Even if it was trampled into meat paste, you wouldn't feel the slightest bit of pain. Family head Lu bickering with him was to put psychological pressure on him. In this way, when both sides fought again, he would be able to gain the upper hand. Seeing that Black Snake had exposed his trick, family head Lu didn't continue the conversation. Instead, he became silent. It was obvious that he was going to concentrate on preparing his own plan. On the other side, the victor between Iron Hands and Mendu had already been decided. Mendu stood on the spot without moving. The thick stone rod in his right hand had completely disappeared. The aura on his body was also extremely weak, as if he could die at any time. This was the first time Lin Yuan saw Mendu suffer such serious injuries since he knew him. On the other hand, Iron Hands landed steadily on the ground. The Demon Buster spear in his hand was placed horizontally behind him. The sharp spear tip pierced into the soil. It looked like a brave general who had single-handedly pierced through the enemy's front line. However, Lin Yuan could no longer feel the existence of any aura from Iron Hands. At this moment, Iron Hands' essence, energy, and spirit had been sucked dry. Although his physical body was still standing proudly, his soul had already dissipated. "Leader," he muttered absent-mindedly. Feng Tian couldn't understand why this mission had developed to such a stage. In order to capture a psychic black snake, even before they set off, they had already made preparations to fight against Wisdom Realm great demons. However, when Patriarch Lu and Iron Arms both died, Feng Tian, the strongest expert present, had already completely collapsed. Although the members of the Iron Hand Corps were elites and had prepared sufficient equipment, they were currently facing all the high-rank monster beasts of the Stoneclaw Forest's 4 great clans. Even if they had already fought a bloody battle, the remaining numbers were not something a mere demon-subduing corps could handle. At this moment, there were no more than 8 members of the Iron Hand Society who were still alive, and only 3 of them were still able to fight. Among these 3 people, Feng Tian, who had lost his weapon and had a mental breakdown, was also included. In this situation, no matter how he thought about it, Lin Yuan didn't think that Patriarch Lu had a chance to make a comeback. Bang! Suddenly, the Yao Ming exploded in front of Lin Yuan. A streak of green light suddenly shot out from the splattered flesh and blood, entering Lin Yuan's lifeless body. F***CK. Possession? Lin Yuan's eyes widened as he stared in disbelief at the green light that entered Feng Tian's body. The requirement to kill the Yao Ming on the mission pane was also marked with a tick. This was something that Lin Yuan hadn't expected. After all, the Yao Ming had died from self-destruction, and it wasn't considered as killing him personally. Furthermore, when the Yao Ming self-destructed, he didn't receive any attribute points as a reward. Therefore, he couldn't figure out how this mission was judged. Hee, you guessed wrong, Black Snake. A streak of green light suddenly flashed in Feng Tian's eyes. He said in a mocking tone, "Iron Arms was destined to die here before we set off. Why would I bet a treasure on a dead man?" Lin Yuan glanced coldly at Feng Tian. Feng Tian stretched his body, and a sinister look appeared on his face. He gritted his teeth and said, "Demon Snake, you've caused me so much pain. Not only did I lose my own physical body, but I also have to cultivate my cultivation technique that was about to reach the great success stage. If I let you go, I'll definitely have a heart demon, and I'll die a horrible death." As soon as he finished speaking, Feng Tian strode to Iron Arm's side. He reached out and searched Iron Arm's body for a while. Then, he grabbed the Demon Buster spear in his hand and threw Iron Arm's body aside like he was throwing away trash. He didn't care about the glaring door at all. He dragged the Demon Buster spear and slowly walked towards Lin Yuan's area. However, this is also good. After giving up my original physical body, although my cultivation will return to nothingness, I've already solved the problem of the conflict between the various demonic beasts' bloodlines. As long as I can extract your heart blood and cultivate again, I'll be able to step into the Heaven Star border realm very soon. When that time comes. As if he was teasing Lin Yuan, Feng Tian walked very slowly as if he was taking a stroll in the park. He also kept on babbling like a chatterbox. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance. Suddenly, a drawn-out voice sounded from behind Lin Yuan. It directly interrupted Feng Tian's babbling. As this voice sounded, the mountain-shaking apes that were fighting with the Iron Arms members gave up on their opponents and stood respectfully to the side. They bowed towards the direction behind Lin Yuan. For a moment, the scene was extremely spectacular. Feng Tian choked and was stunned on the spot for a moment. After thinking for a moment, a fine layer of cold sweat seeped out from Feng Tian's forehead. To be able to make so many mountain-shaking apes bow at the same time. Even Meng Du, who was internally designated as the next patriarch, might not be able to do so. Therefore, there was no need to say who the owner of this drawn-out voice was. Old monkey, you're not dead? How can you not be dead? After the appearance of the three-eyed ape, all of his plans had been declared to be in vain. Feng Tian almost fell into a state of madness as he hysterically roared towards Lin Yuan's back. All of his preparations were for the sake of obtaining the black snake's heart's blood. But now all of his efforts were in vain. Even his own body was lost in the Stoneclaw forest. At the final juncture, the three-eyed ape that was supposed to be dead actually appeared on this battlefield. Although he was arrogant and conceited, he was not arrogant enough to think that he could contend against an existence like the three-eyed ape. The reason why Zhongshan City signed so many unequal treaties was because of the three-eyed ape's existence. But now the most important question was, why was the three-eyed ape not dead? Could it be that the demon beasts of the three major clans were all idiots? They clearly knew that the three-eyed ape was an existence that they could not contend against, but they actually chose to go to war with the Stoneclaw clan while the three-eyed ape was still alive. Could it be that they were not afraid that the three-eyed ape, whose lifespan was about to reach its end, would destroy their clan at all costs? Chapter 98. Why should I die? If I die so easily, will there be any peace in the Stoneclaw forest in the future? The three-eyed ape chuckled. It slowly lifted its hands that were wrapped in gray fur and sighed. This rain should stop. The moment it finished speaking, the rainstorm that was constantly falling from the sky stopped abruptly. The three-eyed ape at this moment was like the only ruler of this world. Even heavens will had to follow its orders. Mountain Lord. You actually stepped into the Mountain Lord realm. Feng Tian was drenched in cold sweat. He looked at the three-eyed ape in disbelief. What was a Mountain Lord? Lin Yuan's previous mission to build a nest was called Mountain Lord. At that time, Lin Yuan felt that building a nest and becoming the overlord of an area would make one a Mountain Lord. However, at this moment, Lin Yuan realized that he was gravely mistaken. The one who submitted to 10,000 beasts was the Beast King. The one who stood above 10,000 people was the Human King. Only the one who was revered by heaven and earth was worthy of being called a lord. There was no doubt about the three-eyed ape's strength. In its long life, it was the well-deserved Beast King of the Stoneclaw forest. Even the ambitious three big clans were only worthy of being a yes-man in front of the three-eyed ape. However, it seemed that this was all there was to it. At this moment, when the three-eyed ape opened its mouth, the wind stopped and the rain stopped. It seemed to have stepped into another realm. Not yet, but it's enough to kill you. The three-eyed ape lightly shook its head. In an instant, a hint of regret flashed through its eyes. Feng Tian snorted coldly. However, he quietly took 2 steps back and said in a deep voice, Old monkey, so what if you're alive? Do you think that since I dared to enter the Hengduan mountain range today, I'm not prepared to leave? Hehe. You may be able to protect this black snake today, but can you protect it forever? As soon as he finished speaking, a green light suddenly flashed behind Feng Tian's back. At the same time, the three-eyed ape threw a punch forward. Almost one after another, Lin Yuan watched as Feng Tian's chest suddenly caved in. However, in the next moment, Feng Tian mysteriously disappeared from Lin Yuan's sight. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing Patriarch Lu and Yao Ming. Iron Hand Society member Fong Tian has escaped, determined to have failed. Host has successfully completed the third stage of the advancement mission. Throne of Corpses. Completion rate is 61%. Completion evaluation is B+. Rewards are being calculated. Host has killed family head Lu. Reward: 5 attribute points. Life Sealing Token, Fan X1. Host has killed the demon centipede. Reward: 5 attribute points. Intelligence State Level 1 Demon Core X1. Settlement complete. The host has received a total of 10 attribute points, 1 tool and 1 material, stored in the system backpack and the resource warehouse respectively. Ding! Congratulations to host for obtaining victory in the Black Snake Defense War. Reward: 500 war points. As Fong Tian inexplicably disappeared in front of him, a series of system prompts suddenly sounded in Lin Yuan's mind. It was only at this moment that Lin Yuan felt a chill run down his spine. Although he had the greatest respect for human beings, Master Lu's method of disappearing into thin air, from the beginning when he took out the armor-piercing talisman, still made Lin Yuan's heart palpitate. It was the first time that Lin Yuan had seen Master Lu's method of taking over someone's body. Master Lu was able to seize a person's body in an instant, and a strong airborne realm cultivator didn't even have a chance to resist. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the humans in this world were much more terrifying than he had imagined. Sigh. The three-eyed ape let out a long sigh. He looked at Lin Yuan meaningfully and said in a deep voice, "Kid, it seems that you have provoked an extraordinary guy. The old monkey has been here for a while. The armor penetration talisman from before was not of a high grade. There are many sellers in the human black market. As long as you can afford it, you can get it. But just now, that was a rare teleportation talisman. It's a treasure that only the top powerhouses of the human race can get. If this guy did not have some fortuitous encounter, then there is an extremely terrifying force behind him. No matter which one it is, you have to be careful in the future." Lin Yuan's eyes showed some doubts. Patriarch Lu's means were indeed strange. Whether it was using the soul to control a puppet or taking over a living person's body, they were all means that only the top great demons that Lin Yuan had seen in the novels in his previous life could use. However, no matter how strange Patriarch Lu's means were, he was still a human. Just now, he had seen his opponent's entire chest caved in. With such an injury, how could anyone not die? TSK, since that guy can get the teleportation talisman, it's normal for him to get other treasures. Just now, the old monkey's punch caved in his chest. It looks serious, but it won't take his life for a while. If he can find a suitable spiritual item, he can recover in half a year at the fastest. The three-eyed ape helplessly spread out its hands. Obviously, it also felt very helpless that its punch did not kill Patriarch Lu. "But haven't you already entered the Mountain Lord realm? Don't tell me," Lin Yuan asked as if it was a matter of course. However, halfway through his sentence he stopped abruptly. This was the first time he had heard of the Mountain Lord realm. However, no matter how he looked at it, this realm was above the Wisdom realm. If the three-eyed ape had truly stepped into a higher realm, even if it couldn't recover its youthful and strong body, it wouldn't still look so sickly. "You felt it?" The three-eyed ape laughed faintly and slowly said, "The boundary between life and death, peeking into the great Tao for an instant. It's just a trick. If I were 30 years younger, I might have a chance to break through. But now it's too late. That punch just now was enough to take the old monkey's life. Although I didn't kill that guy, it doesn't matter. I did it for you and men due to see. You two little guys have the qualifications to become demon kings. I hope you won't be like the old monkey and waste your lives." When the three-eyed ape's voice fell, its movements and expression froze on its face. Lin Yuan stared blankly for a while before silently lowering his head. In his pair of vertical pupils, there was an uncontrollable sorrow. Although Lin Yuan hated the three-eyed ape's actions of dragging him into the water, the three-eyed ape showed the concern of a senior towards a junior. It made Lin Yuan feel a long-lost warmth. It was an emotion that he had not experienced for a long time. At this moment, Lin Yuan actually had the urge to cry because of the death of an old monkey that he had only met a few times. Roar! Roar! The roars of the mountain-shaking apes merged into one once again. However, this time, it was no longer a declaration of victory. A sorrow that was so dense that it couldn't be dispersed slowly enveloped the Stoneclaw forest. Chapter 99. Half an hour later. In the demonic beast forest. Although the army of the city lord's office had caught the demonic beasts by surprise, as more and more high-level demonic beasts gathered, even with the airborne realm heavy armor warriors at the front, the humans' front line continued to shrink, showing signs of being defeated. Riding on a white horse, the city lord coldly looked at the battlefield in front of him and said expressionlessly, "The agreed time has passed. Why hasn't Iron Hand released the signal flare? Could it be that this group of trash can't even deal with the remnants of the 4 major clans that suffered heavy losses? Sir City Lord, the front line can't hold on anymore. If this drags on, we will have to replace the reserves. Why don't we retreat first?" A sweaty aide urged his horse back from the front line with a hint of panic on his face. They had underestimated the hatred of the demonic beasts for humans. As more and more demonic beasts gathered, the front line was like a huge meat grinder. Be it humans or demonic beasts, they were decreasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The soldiers at the front line had already lost their morale. If it wasn't for the existence of the supervision team, there would have been deserters. On the other hand, the demonic beasts were getting fiercer and fiercer. A demonic beast that was on the verge of death would be stepped on by the demonic beasts behind it before it could even lay down. Pa! As soon as the aide's voice fell, he was whipped in the face by the city lord. The city lord stared at the aide and said coldly, "Bastard, how dare you mess with the morale of my army before the war? Men, drag this renegade down and behead him." 2 of the city lord's guards immediately strode forward and dragged the aide down from the horse. Then one on the left and one on the right, they dragged him to the front line. They planned to behead him in front of the 3 armies and let those who had thoughts of retreating know what would happen if they retreated now. When the city lord's voice fell, he stretched his muscles and bones. Before he could move, he immediately felt several cold gazes from the Hengduan mountain range in front of him. It was as if the mountain lords and river lords in the Hengduan mountain range would not let this matter go if he, a Heavenly Dipper realm expert, dared to slaughter those demonic beasts that were not even in the wisdom realm. Phew! The city lord gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, a cold light flickering in his eyes. If he went forward, he would be destroyed along with the demonic beasts. But if he went forward, he would be criticized by the imperial court. Back then, he had come to Flashing Mountain City full of confidence. He wanted to show off the prowess of the human race, and make these demon beasts obediently return to being the prey of the human race. But now, a mere crushed stone clan was enough to frighten all the demon slayers of Flashing Mountain City into not daring to take even half a step into the Hengduan mountain range. However, after coming to Mountain Blocking City, he realized how laughable his ambitions were. The Hengduan mountain range was in the middle of the 7 empires. Although a single clan was nothing much, the combined strength of the 7 empires was something that even the 7 empires were afraid of. If the demonic beasts in the Hengduan mountain range were to join forces, the 7 empires might not be able to sit firmly in their current position of overlord. With such a disparity in strength, what could a mere Heaven's Dipper realm cultivator like him do? Pa! Pa! The whip in the palm of the city lord's hand cracked. He raised his head to look at the battlefield in front of him and said in a deep voice, "All armies, listen to my order. Even if you have to sacrifice your life, you have to hold on for another hour." Perhaps the beast kings of the 4 major clans were troublesome to deal with, but Tai Shou and his men had made sufficient preparations when they entered the Hengduan mountain range. If they still couldn't deal with the 4 beast kings that were severely injured, then Flashing Mountain City's situation wouldn't change for the next 100 years. Roar! Just as the city lord's voice faded, an extremely violent beast roar came from afar. The city lord's eyes narrowed. A trace of fear flashed across his clear eyes. When the 4 major clans started fighting, all the unrelated high-level demonic beasts had retreated from the Stoneclaw forest. The situation at the front line was already so tense. How could there still be demonic beasts coming out from the Stoneclaw forest? Could it be, in the distance, a silver-white battle line slowly appeared in everyone's line of sight? At the forefront were 60 mountain-quaking apes in their growth stage. They were all Class 10 demonic beasts. Further behind were the Wisdom Realm mountain-quaking apes led by Mendu after the battle. There were only about 8 mountain-quaking apes left in the entire Stoneclaw clan. All of them were extremely burly and had an extremely strong will to fight. They were practically the mainstay of the entire Stoneclaw clan. If they could all be killed, the Stoneclaw clan could be said to be completely wiped out. The mountain-quaking apes were leading the charge, followed by the Hunting Wind, Boulder, and Winterwolf clans' demonic beasts. If it was any other time, the ones at the forefront would definitely be the defeated vassal demon clans. However, it was different today. The respected Wisdom Three-Eyed Ape had died under the plot of the humans. This was publicly acknowledged by every mountain-quaking ape. Therefore, they were filled with anger towards the humans, and wanted to vent their anger. They didn't even gather the defeated 3 major clans. Under Mendu's lead, they directly charged towards the City Lord Mansion's army. How terrifying was a group of 60 mountain-quaking apes charging forward. These demonic beasts, who were covered in rock armor and wielded stone rods that were tens of meters long, occupied a 1,000-meter battle line. They were even more impactful than the human heavy cavalry. Those heavy-armored warriors who could easily stop the Wisdom Realm demonic beasts couldn't even dodge when faced with the mountain-quaking apes' charge. They were directly thrown off their horses. Seeing the Overlord make a move, the furious roars of various demonic beasts followed closely behind. The defensive line that the heavy-armored warriors had formed with great difficulty was directly declared broken. The reserve troops wearing ordinary armor, and those gunners controlling the cannons were all exposed to the demonic beast's vision. In an instant, curses, screams, and pleas for mercy were all heard. The city lord stared blankly at everything that happened before his eyes. His eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The war between the 4 major clans had already ended? Mendu led the demonic beasts of the 4 major clans out of the Stoneclaw forest. Not only did Taisho's group of trash fail to complete the decapitation plan, they even angered these demonic beasts. With a bad mood, the city lord called out to his personal guards. He didn't even care about the humans who had already come into contact with the demonic beasts. He turned his horse around and charged back in the direction of Mountain Blocking City. Boom. Following a loud sound, the ground in front of the city lord was filled with dust as if something heavy had fallen. Nay, the white horse that the city lord was sitting on suddenly stood up like a human, as if it was frightened by something. The city lord swallowed a mouthful of saliva. After comforting his beloved horse, he stared ahead. His white horse had been carefully nurtured since it was young. Even among the demonic beasts, it was an incomparably fierce existence. What in the world could scare his mount? Chapter 100. The dust had settled. Hiss! The city lord sucked in a breath of cold air. A huge blood-red wolf with blood all over its body was glaring at him with a pair of eyes full of unwillingness. One of its front paws had turned into stone, while the other one was twisted beyond recognition. The bones all over its body were shattered, and even its flesh and blood could not be seen from its original appearance. This was Blizzard, the leader of the Winterwolf clan. A frost wolf with terrifying strength. After the death of the three-eyed ape, it was the Wisdom Realm Great Demon with the highest chance of competing for the position of Overlord in the Stoneclaw Forest. However, at this moment, Blizzard was already lifeless. There wasn't a single part of its body that was intact. This was a declaration. A declaration of the fate of all those who took advantage of the three-eyed ape's death to stir up trouble. Gulp. The city lord swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and suddenly felt an itch in his throat. He was a dignified Heaven Dipper realm expert who could easily kill anyone with just a finger. However, when facing Blizzard's corpse, his first reaction wasn't anger, but fear. Lin Yuan, who was lying on the thick shell of a grade 10 mystic tortoise, saw the city lord's reaction. A trace of contempt flashed across its blue-white vertical pupils. The city lord felt something and turned his head, exchanging glances with Lin Yuan. After pondering for a moment, he realized that this should be the psychic black snake that the Lu clan's patriarch had mentioned. The repeated setbacks of the mountain-blocking city during this period of time in the Hengduan mountain range were largely related to this black snake. However, after seeing Lin Yuan's appearance, the city lord no longer had any killing intent in his heart. What did the enemy of the Lu clan's patriarch have to do with him? As an existence that came from the imperial capital in the past, his knowledge was naturally far from what the Lu clan's patriarch could compare with. With just a glance, he could tell that this black snake had the bloodline of the dragon race. Even though it hadn't stepped into the wisdom realm, it already showed signs of transforming into a flood dragon. The pitch-black scales on its body were the best evidence. If it grew a single horn, this black snake would be called the Black Jiao. There was a flood serpent in the Hengduan mountain range, and it only showed signs of transforming into a flood serpent when it was about to become a mountain lord. However, this black serpent's bloodline was definitely much denser than that flood serpent's. A demon beast of this level would at most become a demon king of the dragon palace of the four seas in the future. Even the monarchs of the 7 dynasties would have to show some respect to it. As the city lord of Mountain Rampart City, if he were to provoke such an existence, he would be completely tired of living. Perhaps the dragon bloodline demon beasts from the dragon palace of the four seas would come knocking on his door tomorrow and casually snap his neck. The most ridiculous thing was that the Lu family's patriarch actually wanted to devour this black snake? Ding. The city lord of Mountain's Rampart City has lost his hostility towards you. Your relationship with him has increased by 100 points. Current relationship is neutral. The system notification made Lin Yuan slightly startled. He was somewhat unable to understand this city lord of Mountain Blocking City. Back then, when he killed 2 Class 9 demon beasts, the relationship between him and the city lord mansion had dropped from neutral to hostile. But today, when he threw the corpse of Blizzard in front of the city lord mansion's relationship with him had actually improved, directly reverting from a mortal enemy to a neutral one. Could it be that this guy has a blood feud with Blizzard? The city lord did not dare to stay there any longer. He just glanced at Lin Yuan from afar, then used the horsewhip to whip the white horse's buttocks. The white horse immediately galloped toward Mountain Rampart City. The abandoned humans and the demon beasts were fighting. One side was fighting for survival, while the other side was fighting for revenge. Flesh and blood were flying everywhere on the battlefield, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of blood. Everyone was staring at their opponents fiercely, fantasizing that they would be able to survive until the end. Both the monsters at the Wisdom Realm and the humans at the Airborne Realm did not actually participate in the battle. The monsters on the side of the 4 major clans had fought a chaotic battle before. After the first round of attacks that tore through the humans' front lines, the monsters were somewhat exhausted. As such, they slowly retreated from the front lines. Only a few of them who were angered continued to fight. On the human side, while Airborne Realm experts could not really fly as their realm title indicated, they were able to release spiritual chi outside their body. As long as they jumped high enough, they would be able to glide in the air for a short period of time, which would increase their speed considerably. Therefore, other than the heavy-armored warriors who were held back, most of the Airborne Realm humans had already retreated with the city lord. The Class 9 Yao beasts were the main force on the battlefield. Lin Yuan, who was injured, expressed that he did not want to participate in such a battle at all. It would be a waste of effort and gain nothing. Even if he were to kill all of the humans on the battlefield, it might not provide him with a lot of attribute points. The snake flicked its tongue and licked its mouth. Lin Yuan looked in the direction where the city lord left. A hint of viciousness flashed in his vertical eyes. These humans kept finding trouble with him, one after another. Sooner or later, he would make these humans kneel on the ground and repent. System, can I still not advance to the Wisdom Realm yet? Lin Yuan asked out of boredom. The host must have all attributes over 100 points to advance to the Wisdom Realm. Currently, all attributes are 72 points, and you have 15 free attribute points. You have not met the advancement requirements yet. The system responded to Lin Yuan's question with a serious tone. The 10 attribute points were the mission reward, and the extra 5 attribute points were contributed by Blizzard. Even if all of them were added up, it would not be enough for him to advance to the Wisdom Realm. However, he was so weak at the moment that even moving was a luxury. If he were to fight against Wisdom Realm demons or Airborne Realm humans now, it would be an act of suicide. However, if he did not break through, he would not be able to use the power of the system to completely heal his injuries. Lin Yuan felt as if he had entered an endless cycle. Although devouring the energy produced by demons or spiritual items could also heal his injuries, it was just like cultivating the golden body secrets on his own. The efficiency was simply too slow. System, what is the use of the war points? Can it help me advance? Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly and asked with evil intentions. He now had 800 war points in his hand. According to the system's previous instructions, if he did not win 2 battles, 80 attribute points would be deducted from his interface at this moment, directly reducing it to a negative number. Although the system had said that it would only deduct his attribute points when the war points were not enough to pay the price of failure, and that the 2 data were not allowed to be connected at other times. However, Lin Yuan always felt that this system, which was not comfortable if it did not cheat him, always had some loopholes to exploit. The host can pay war points to directly buy items, or use them for the lottery. As long as the rules allow it, the host can obtain it through the lottery roulette in the war treasury. However, the system has a friendly reminder that the probability of drawing the lottery roulette is very low, and there is a high possibility of a free pass. After the system broadcast ended, the electronic synthesized voice could not suppress the teasing voice again. Would the host like to open the war treasury now? Chapter 101. Lin Yuan choked for a moment. This wasn't the first time the system had cheated him, but this time he felt that it was too much. After he opened the war treasury, his first reaction was joy because there were too many things that could be exchanged. Anything that Lin Yuan could think of he could see in the war treasury. Even if it was something that he thought was impossible, he could see it in the war treasury. However, Lin Yuan's second reaction was that he wanted to scold someone. The cheapest thing in the war treasury was an item called Countless Times Diluted Experience Potion. The icon looked like a transparent glass test tube with about 50 milliliters of transparent liquid. The effect was that after drinking the potion, the speed of spirit energy absorption would double. Previously, when Lin Yuan was training near the green leaf water lotus, even if he drank the experience potion, the efficiency was still ridiculously slow. The Countless Times Diluted Experience Potion in the war treasury might not even be able to compare to the green leaf water lotus in his nest. It was simply trash among trash. Such a bottle of potion was sold for 600 war points. Even a scammer's shop had to follow the rules, right? Lin Yuan reluctantly moved his gaze away from the high-level items and angrily opened the war treasury's lottery interface. He immediately saw a shiny golden wheel. It was very similar to the roulette wheel that some unscrupulous pay-to-win games made to tempt players to get the first kill. Just this roulette wheel alone made Lin Yuan feel the malice of the system. There were 2 lines of words beside the roulette wheel. Mysterious does not save the innocent. Pay-to-win does not change fate. One lottery costs 100 war points. There was a 70% chance of getting a free pass and a 30% chance of getting an item that he didn't know what it was. In other words, if he spent 100 war points, even if he didn't get a free pass, he might get a useless item like a tree branch or stone. Looking at this newly opened war treasury template, Lin Yuan could only helplessly curse in his heart. Those high-level items that even made him envious required a terrifying amount of money. According to the current rate of war points, he might have to participate in wars for a full 10 years before he could buy a useful item. After a moment of consideration, Lin Yuan clicked on the lucky draw button. To be honest, everyone would think that they were the main character before the lottery draw. They would casually play around and be able to draw something amazing. Therefore, this kind of feeling could not be suppressed. Only when reality poured a basin of cold water on them would they suddenly wake up. For example, Lin Yuan at this moment. Ding! Congratulations to the host. You have received a buy in this round of lucky draw. The system beep sounded. The corners of Lin Yuan's eyes twitched slightly. He took a deep breath and tried his best to calm down. You're congratulating me for getting a buy? I really want to beat you to death. However, Lin Yuan did not lose his composure. After all, it was very normal for a lucky draw like this to get a buy. In his previous life, when he played similar lucky draw games, he paid particular attention to the fact that there was a cushion. It was completely expected that he would get a buy or trash in the first few draws. In this kind of lucky draw, he was betting on the luck of the last draw. After taking a deep breath, Lin Yuan adjusted his breathing and pressed the lucky draw button again. The 100 war points that he worked so hard to earn were thrown away just like that? How was that possible? Even if Lin Yuan died and jumped off the back of the black tortoise, it would not be over just like that. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received a buy in this round of lucky draw. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received a buy in this round of lucky draw. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received a buy in this round of lucky draw. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received 3 attribute points. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received a buy in this round of lucky draw. He had drawn the lottery 5 times in a row, and 4 times he had gotten a buy. The only time he had won a prize was a mere 3 attribute points. If he counted those free attribute points, all his attributes were now at 90 points. He still needed 10 attribute points to qualify for promotion. At this moment, he only had 200 war points left. If he wanted to rely on this to qualify, he would have to ensure that he won the next 2 draws. Moreover, he would have to get at least 5 attribute points in both draws. However, it was clear that this was impossible. Lin Yuan was not a member of the Peach Blossoms network. He also did not want to eat *T. Therefore, in accordance with the law, Lin Yuan did not hesitate to put the remaining 200 war points into the lucky draw roulette. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received a buy in this round of lucky draw. Ding. Congratulations to the host. You have received an S-Class one-time consumable skill. Spider Sense can be transferred. Name: Spider Sense. Type: one-time consumable skill effect. Spiders are the world's weakest and strongest hunters. They are good at weaving large webs and waiting for their prey to come to them. A spider lying on a web, even if it is in a deep sleep, as long as its web is lightly touched by another species, it will immediately wake up and obtain all the information of the other party. Range: 6,000 miles in circumference. Duration: until the user leaves the range of the spider sense. Lin Yuan's eyes twitched once again. Anything that was evaluated as S-Class by the system, regardless of whether it was a tool or a skill, was extremely awesome. However, this spider sense was like a chicken rib to Lin Yuan. It was tasteless, but it was a pity to throw it away. Once the spider sense was activated, any movement within 6,000 miles would not be able to escape his eyes. Whether it was hunting or escaping, it was very beneficial. However, the combination of Lin Yuan's olfactory imaging, map template, and the system's own crisis alert was not worse than the spider sense effect. Moreover, the range was more than a mere 6,000 miles, and it could take effect at any time. 800 war points in exchange for 3 attribute points and a useless skill. No matter how one looked at it, this was a huge loss. The host's stupidity has really opened my eyes. Do you really think that by cursing me in your heart and imagining strangling me in your mind, you can hide from the omniscient and omnipotent system? In the past, the system was too lazy to argue with you. However, this time, I have to say a few words. For you, this skill is indeed better than nothing. However, can't you see that there are 3 words behind the skill that can be transferred? The host can transfer the spider sense to any creature under his command. However, the condition is that the user must have a certain degree of loyalty to the host. The user must have more than 60 war points to meet the transfer condition. Oh, I almost forgot. The host currently only has 1 Batu with full loyalty under his command. It seems that there is no other choice. The system's somewhat helpless voice sounded in Lin Yuan's mind. However, the more it spoke, the more arrogant the system became. It even directly turned on its mocking mode. Relationship template, war template, territory template, and now a skill that can be transferred. Do you think I can't see that you are encouraging me to take in underlings? What, do you really want me to be a war maniac? Lin Yuan raised his eyelids and unhappily mocked. Chapter 102. As time passed, the situation gradually stabilized. The humans either died or fled, leaving behind a ground full of mutilated corpses to announce the victor of this battle. The remaining demonic beasts were not idle either. Pairs of bloodshot eyes constantly swept back and forth between Lin Yuan and Mendo. Blizzard, Flat Hill, and Qinyan were dead, and Mendo and Black Snake were seriously injured. For the time being, the Stoneclaw Forest had lost its true overlord. As long as they could kill Mendo and Black Snake, the era of the 4 great clans ruling the Stoneclaw Forest would be completely over. A group of high-level monsters became restless. However, the mountain-shaking apes who had just rested for a short while stood up once again, revealing their bulging muscles. Their cold gazes swept over the monsters with ill intentions. Immediately, most of the high-level monsters retreated, not daring to have any ideas about the Black Snake and Mendo. However, there were always exceptions to everything. There were always a few who were not afraid of death. A monster that looked like a rhinoceros with a body length of about 130 meters suddenly stomped on the ground with its front hooves and said in a deep voice, "Mendo, Black Snake, your 4 great clans started a war and chased us out of the Stoneclaw Forest to fight against the main forces of the humans. Now that everything has been settled, shouldn't you give us an explanation?" Mendo scratched his head with his remaining arm and stared expressionlessly at the rhinoceros. Following Mendo's movements, the group of mountain-shaking apes picked up their stone sticks, ready to attack at any time. Seeing that Mendo had the intention to kill it, a trace of panic flashed through the rhinoceros's eyes. However, it did not immediately admit defeat and continued, "Don't misunderstand, I just want to ask, who is the new beast king of the Stoneclaw Forest? Is it you or Black Snake?" A cold killing intent flashed through Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils. This rhinoceros was clearly stirring up trouble, and it was extremely ruthless. Three-eyed ape, Qinyan, Flat Hill, and Blizzard. The previous 4 beast kings had died one after another. Now that the 3 great clans had become the vassal clans of the Stoneclaw clan, the Stoneclaw Forest should decide on a new beast king to rule over the monsters, and ensure that the humans' claws could not reach into the Hengduan mountain range. Normally, Mendo would be the king of beasts. However, Lin Yuan's performance in this battle was also remarkable. As a 10th-level demon beast, he first killed Qinyan, then charged into the battlefield of Blizzard, Pingqiu, and Mendo, completely defeating the one-legged Blizzard. Therefore, even though Lin Yuan had not reached the wisdom state, the demon beasts living in the Stoneclaw Forest already regarded him as a beast king on par with Mendo. The new beast king had to be chosen from one of the 2. Unless they perished together, the position would never fall on the heads of the other monsters. Lin Yuan and Men were clearly aware of this. One of them had lost his hands, and the other couldn't even move freely. So they didn't bring up this topic. However, as soon as the rhinoceros opened its mouth, it directly put them on the fire. Who would admit defeat? Who would withdraw? Both Lin Yuan and Mendo had extraordinary means and strength. It was not a problem for them to rule the Stoneclaw jungle. If the 3-eyed ape was still alive, it could suppress the battle between Lin Yuan and Mendo. However, the 3-eyed ape was no longer alive. Therefore, if the 2 of them wanted to compete for the position of the Beast King, the best result might be that one of them was injured and the other left. Lin Yuan and Mendo were not the only ones who were silent. The surrounding mountain-shaking apes also glanced at the 2 of them from time to time. They didn't have much contact with the Black Snake. In today's battle, the Black Snake's performance was not bad. If the Black Snake was willing to give up the position of Beast King to Mendo, then the Black Snake would be an eternal friend of the Stoneclaw tribe. After all, no matter how strong the Black Snake was, it was not a mountain-shaking ape. Mendo put his left hand on his chest and said expressionlessly, "You guys are really interesting. The Black Snake is only a 10th level monster now. You compare it with me. I have already reached the peak, but the black snake's growth has just begun. I believe that it will soon become stronger than me. So, why are you still so conflicted about who will be the Beast King of the Stoneclaw Forest? Mendo turned his head to look at Lin Yuan. He knelt down on one knee and said loudly, Mendo, the leader of the Stoneclaw clan, pays his respects to the Beast King. With Mendo taking the lead, the group of mountain-shaking apes obediently followed Mendo even though they were dissatisfied. They knelt down on one knee and paid their respects to the bewildered Lin Yuan. The surrounding monsters also followed suit and began to pay their respects to Lin Yuan on the back of the black tortoise. At this moment, Lin Yuan was really dumbfounded. He never thought that things would turn out like this. As long as Mendo wants to become the Beast King, the mountain-shaking apes behind it can rush up and easily tear Lin Yuan, who is unable to move at the moment, to shreds. From then on, in the area of the Stoneclaw Forest, no demonic beast will be able to compete with Mendo, but Mendo actually gave up on becoming the Beast King, and even knelt down to him? Lin Yuan looked at Mendo strangely. He could not guess what was going on in Mendo's mind. Disappointment flashed across the eyes of the ambitious monsters, including the rhinoceros. The good show they wanted to see didn't play out. Moreover, Mendo's actions had completely blocked their mouths. In the future, even if Mendo wanted to betray them, they wouldn't be able to get the approval of the other monsters. Ding! Congratulations to the host. You have gained the recognition of the Hunting Wind, Rock, Winterwolf, and Stoneclaw clans. You have become the new Beast King of the Stoneclaw Forest. You have gained the territory of the Stoneclaw Forest. You can view the details in the territory panel. When the system notification sounded, Lin Yuan was also awakened from his contemplation. Lin Yuan nodded his snake head slightly and greeted the worshipping demonic beasts one by one. The demonic beasts then dispersed. Mendo slowly walked to Lin Yuan's side and grinned. You don't have to suspect that I am bluffing you. I have indeed reached the peak. When a normal monster cultivates to the wisdom state, there will be a certain degree of atavism. Sage is a typical example of success. As for me, although I have obtained unparalleled power after atavism, I am still a failure. Perhaps I will not be able to take another step forward in this lifetime. But you are different. A mere Stoneclaw forest cannot trap you. When you soar to the heavens in the future, Batu will be the next king of the Stoneclaw forest. My Stoneclaw clan will still control this forest. We will have another powerful ally, won't we? For a moment, Lin Yuan was speechless. With the system by his side, he would not be tied down by a mere Stoneclaw forest. But he could say that. Mendo had bet everything on him. That was a huge gamble. Chapter 103. 3 days later, Lin Yuan was lazily basking in the sun in his lair. Although this was the demonic beast forest, there were no traces of humans around. After all, the mountain-blocking city's army had just been defeated in the demonic beast forest 3 days ago. If humans entered the demonic beast forest to hunt and further enrage the demonic beasts, the first ones to deal with them would not be the demonic beasts, but the punishment from the city lord residents. In these 3 days, Lin Yuan could be considered to have enjoyed the luxurious life of a beast king. Although it was not as extravagant as human nobles, it was definitely a dream for the demonic beasts. Even if Lin Yuan did not step out of his lair, there would be a small hill of demonic beast flesh and various fays piled up near his lair. All of them were given to him by the demonic beasts of the Stoneclaw Forest and the demonic beast forest. Of course, this did not mean that the Beast King was a position where he could only eat and wait for death. The law of the jungle was that the strong preyed on the weak, but a qualified Beast King had to maintain the bottom line, which was to maintain the balance of the ecological chain. For example, wolves ate sheep, and sheep ate grass. This was an ecological chain. The Beast King had to ensure that the number of wolves, sheep, and grass was maintained at a balance point. He had to ensure that there were not too many wolves and sheep that would eat up the sheep, and that there were not too many sheep and sheep that would eat up the grass. If it was another Beast King, he would have to patrol his territory every day and confirm the number of demonic beasts and fays, and the estimated number of fays to make a plan. In the Stoneclaw Forest, He had to inform the demonic beasts in his territory about which demonic beasts could be hunted, and which demonic beasts could not be treated as prey. However, Lin Yuan stayed in his lair for 3 days, and did not have any intention of patrolling his territory. He would only appear when demonic beasts invaded, human demon slayers appeared, or when a certain species was about to go extinct. What made the demonic beasts gasp in amazement was that although Lin Yuan did not step out of his lair, his control of the Stoneclaw Forest was incomparably precise. He was even more outstanding than the previous Beast King, the three-eyed ape. Therefore, in just 3 days, Lin Yuan had already accumulated a considerable amount of reputation. At the very least, he had become a qualified Beast King, in the eyes of most demonic beasts. Of course, this was all thanks to the system, territory, Stoneclaw faction, Blackwater Dragon Palace demonic beasts. Phase output. Territory factions, Blackwater Dragon Palace extremely weak, Shatterstone Clan, relatively weak, Hunterwind Clan extremely weak, Winterwolf Clan extremely weak, Boulder Clan extremely weak. Current events, non-historical events. Omitted. This was the initial interface of the territory model. The entire territory's demonic beast population and Fey production were all scanned and analyzed by the system. Lin Yuan only needed to glance at the system to know the situation of the demonic beast population better than most of the patriarchs. Some of the Fey production had also been marked by the system, and even the demonic beasts that had guardians were clearly written down. This was also the reason why Lin Yuan could understand the Stoneclaw Forest so well without leaving his home. It was a pity that this heaven-defying function could only be used on Lin Yuan's own territory. Otherwise, Lin Yuan felt that he would be able to make a fortune wherever he went. The territory factions referred to the various large clans. Currently in the Stoneclaw Forest, apart from Lin Yuan's Blackwater Dragon Palace, the other 4 large clans all had a large clan as their backing. Of course, there were also some demonic beasts that had formed clans in the Stoneclaw Forest territory, but their strength could not be compared to the 4 large clans. Even the 3 large clans that had suffered great losses could easily wipe them out with a flick of a finger. When these forces were gathered together, they could even influence the Beast King's decision. However, the 3 large clans had been suppressed, and the Shatterstone clan was under Mendu's leadership, following Lin Yuan's lead. Therefore, this territory faction would not affect Lin Yuan for the time being. He just needed to pay attention to it. As for the territory's events and historical events, they were somewhat similar to an alarm function. Serious extinction of a species and minor Fey maturation would all be recorded by the system. Once something happened in the Stoneclaw Forest, the system would immediately notify Lin Yuan. After these events were completed or shelved, they would be recorded as historical events, and Lin Yuan could check the details of what had happened at any time. After stretching his body, Lin Yuan slowly swam down the waterfall and arrived at the lakeside. He swallowed a calf and refined it into warm energy before continuing to repair the injuries on his snake tail. After 3 days of recuperation, Lin Yuan's basic movements were no longer a problem. However, he could only avoid matters that involved fighting. Currently, the Stoneclaw Forest security was completely maintained by the 4 large clans' demonic beasts. As the Beast King, Lin Yuan was like an alarm. Whenever there was a battle, he would immediately gather a group of strong demonic beasts to defeat those invaders. Lin Yuan could not do anything about this. After all, if he could not hunt down those powerful opponents, he would not be able to obtain enough attribute points to advance. If it was before, Lin Yuan would never believe that he would be stuck at a mere 10 attribute points. Ding. Territory event triggered. Fey matured. The system's broadcast attracted Lin Yuan, who had just eaten until he was about 70% full. Lin Yuan lazily raised his eyelids and checked the new event. With just a glance, his blue-white vertical pupils revealed a trace of astonishment. Event name: Crimson Jade Dew. Pawn description: Crimson Jade Dew is the essence of the earth fire that flows through the stalactites and turns into a pure spirit liquid. Only 1 drop of Crimson Jade Dew falls every 100 years. If a fire-type demonic beast can drink 1 drop, it will obtain 5 years' worth of spiritual power. Event trigger location. Looking at the new event notification, Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes slightly. Logically speaking, a fire-type Fey would not be of much use to him. If he rashly consumed it, there might be a conflict between his attribute and the Fey's attribute. If it was serious, it was not impossible for his body to explode and die. If not for the fact that he had carefully looked at the event trigger location, Lin Yuan would have directly skipped over it. But the problem was that the Crimson Jade Dew Pond was located at the edge of the Stoneclaw Forest. A few hundred meters away, it was the territory of another wisdom perception demonic beast. Even at its peak, Mendu might not be able to obtain any benefits from it. Now that Lin Yuan was in charge of the Stoneclaw Forest, that demonic beast was bent on devouring the Stoneclaw Forest territory. Therefore, it had been in constant conflict with the demonic beast tribes under Lin Yuan's rule. The birth of a Fey like the Crimson Jade Dew Pond would definitely cause a phenomenon. It was impossible for the demonic beast next door to not notice it. Lin Yuan did not want it and would not give it to his enemy. He directly twisted his snake body and rushed toward the Stoneclaw tribe. Chapter 104. At the same time, in the area next to the Stoneclaw Forest, a giant crocodile covered in red scales suddenly raised its head and looked at the Stoneclaw Forest. A hint of greed flashed in its eyes, but after carefully sensing for a moment, the corner of its eyes twitched unnoticeably. The appearance of a fire-type Fey naturally couldn't be hidden from a powerful fire-type beast like him. However, this fire-type Fey just had to appear in the Black Snake's territory. It had been the overlord of this area for many years. Even if the nearby Beast Kings didn't have any relations with it, they would still give it some face. However, the Black Snake that had just taken over didn't give it any face at all. It had only taken advantage of the internal strife in the Stoneclaw Forest to take over the forest as its own territory. This kind of thing was very common among the Beast Kings. After all, when the new and old Beast Kings took over power, it meant that the older generation experts had lost their deterrence to the surrounding strong enemies. There was no reason for the surrounding strong enemies to not take a bite out of this fat piece of meat. In the end, the Black Snake seemed to have gone crazy. It directly led the Fae under its rule to attack the giant crocodile's territory, and forcibly took back the territory that originally belonged to the Stoneclaw Forest. It was also because of this that the giant crocodile and Lin Yuan had a conflict. If the fire-type Fae had appeared in the territory of other Beast Kings, the giant crocodile would have been able to exchange for it at most. However, it just had to appear in the Black Snake's territory. The giant crocodile reckoned that even if it was willing to exchange, the Black Snake wouldn't give it face. Roar! After thinking for a moment, the giant crocodile suddenly roared towards the sky. One by one, crocodiles with the same red scales slowly swam out of the nearby swamp and gathered beside the giant crocodile. They stared at their ancestor with burning eyes, waiting for the giant crocodile to give the order. Everyone spread out and gather all the Fae in the territory. We will go and find the Black Snake and ask for the item. If it is willing to give face, this king will definitely give it some benefits. If it doesn't know how to appreciate favors, we will directly kill our way in and snatch the item. Gigantic Crocodile glanced around at his descendants, nodded with satisfaction, and gave an order in a clear voice. The fire attribute spirit item that was born this time was definitely not simple. Even a peak wisdom stage great demon, like it could feel the spirit force from the spirit item. Even if it devoured the spirit item, it would be able to obtain great benefits. On the other hand, the Black Snake was a water-type demon beast. A fire attribute spirit item of this level would only be harmful to it. No matter how it thought about it, the Black Snake wouldn't bite it to death. But just to be safe, it decided to gather all the demon beasts under its command. On the other side, since the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King is determined to obtain the Crimson Yulu, the host's relationship with the Crimson Blaze Swamp has decreased by 20 points. The current relationship is hostile. Ding. As the host's relationship with Scarlet Flame Swamp has dropped to hostile, Stoneclaw Forest and Scarlet Flame Swamp have entered a state of combat readiness. Faction Battle Model. Name: Scarlet Yulu Contest Closed Attacking Party. Scarlet Flame Swamp. Weak. defense, Blackwater Dragon Palace, weak, remarks, a close rival victory reward, 400 war points failure penalty. Pay 400 war points system prompts popped up one after another, and Lin Yuan, who was in a hurry, had a slight change in his expression. Gan Linliang heard this. Forget about that damn crocodile next door coveting his item. It actually wanted to make the first move to gain the upper hand? According to the previous rebellion of the three clans, the Scarlet Flame Crocodile King had already gathered all the demon beasts under its command. As long as Lin Yuan wasn't willing to give up the Scarlet Yulu Pond, the crocodile would immediately attack. In any case, the Scarlet Flame Crocodile King would eat the Scarlet Yulu Pond, and Lin Yuan wouldn't be able to do anything to it. Nachin. Lin Yuan, who had already arrived at the outskirts of the Stoneclaw clan, looked around and immediately found an old acquaintance. He immediately called out. Hearing Lin Yuan's call, Nachin helplessly greeted his companions. Then he walked over to Lin Yuan's side and said helplessly, Lord Beast King, what's wrong with you? Ever since Lin Yuan became a Beast King, he had completely used the Stoneclaw clan as his own clan. All the mountain-shaking apes were just tool apes in his eyes. As long as Lin Yuan appeared near the Stoneclaw clan, it would mean that he had some difficult task for the Stoneclaw clan to do. In the hundreds of years of the Stoneclaw forest, none of the Beast Kings bullied the apes like this. However, Lin Yuan was indeed an anomaly. All the Beast Kings before him had their own clan, but Lin Yuan was completely alone. Excluding the Badu, there were almost no demon beasts that were directly under the Beast Kings. War. Lin Yuan narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, Today a new fire-type Fae appeared in our territory. It's not far from the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's territory. That old crocodile must have noticed it. I guess it has already gathered its subordinates, and is preparing to enter the Stoneclaw forest to snatch the Fae. But what does this have to do with us? Nachin slapped his forehead, and his voice still sounded a little helpless. He didn't understand the Black Snake's thoughts. It wasn't that the Stoneclaw forest didn't have any fire-type demon beasts, but there wasn't a single one that could be found. Even the Black Snake, a Beast King, was a water-type demon beast. It could be said that it had abandoned fire-type Faes like they were shoes. It was fine to give such a Fae to the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King. Why did it have to go to war? The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King isn't just after a fire-type Fae. Let me tell you, the Fae that appeared this time is extraordinary. It might even help the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King directly enter the next realm. When that time comes, it won't be able to shake hands and make peace with us just because we chased after it. Lin Yuan explained while observing Nachin's expression. Then he suddenly changed the topic and said, The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King isn't the only one that wants my territory. I also have thoughts about the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's territory. You have to know that there is a spirit spring in the Scarlet Blaze Swamp. It is said that it is very beneficial for healing external injuries. If we can obtain this spirit spring, Mendu's injuries. I will immediately inform Mendu. Nachin nodded heavily and directly interrupted Lin Yuan's words. Mendu only had one hand left. Although it was still very powerful, it wasn't very convenient. They had also heard of the spirit spring in the Scarlet Blaze Swamp. However, the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King had always treated the spirit spring as its own treasure. No matter what price the Shattered Stone clan offered, it wouldn't agree to let Mendu recuperate inside. If they could obtain the spirit spring this time, it would be a great thing for the Shattered Stone clan. No, let your companion inform Mendu. I will wait here for it. You have other things to do. Lin Yuan slightly coiled his body. His blue-white vertical pupils flashed with a cold light as he instructed. You go now. Chapter 105. The Flaming Red Crocodile King led its subordinates and slowly approached the Crimson Jade Dew Pond. The demonic beasts living nearby also gathered spontaneously and stared at the Flaming Red Crocodile King with unkind eyes. After all, the distance between the two sides was relatively close, and there was constant friction between them. Even if Lin Yuan gave the Flaming Red Crocodile King face, these demonic beasts rooted here would not be kind. What's more, The newly appointed Lin Yuan's attitude towards the flaming red crocodile king was very clear. If it dared to cross the line, he would beat it to death. Standing at the border between the flaming red swamp and the Stoneclaw forest, the flaming red crocodile king stared ahead. After thinking for a while, the flaming red crocodile king slowly raised its eyelids and said loudly, "This king has arrived. Why don't you go back and call the black snake to welcome him?" There were countless areas around the Hengduan mountain range, and each area had its own beast king. They were responsible for the balance of the area. If a beast king rashly attacked another beast king's territory, it would be fine if nothing happened. However, if something happened, the mountain lords and river lords in the depths of the Hengduan mountain range would come looking for trouble. Therefore, even if the flaming red crocodile king was prepared for war, it could not directly attack the Stoneclaw forest territory without even seeing the black snake. What arrogance! Are you worthy of being welcomed by our king? Following a loud voice, the one-armed Mendu led for intelligence perception mountain shaking apes over from afar. Behind Mendu was an intelligence black tortoise. Because of its ancestral bloodline, although this black tortoise did not awaken any elemental abilities, its body was more than twice the size of other black tortoises of the same level. Its physical strength was also extremely terrifying. Although it was not as terrifying as Chen Yan's heaven-falling and earth-sinking skill, it could still create a 30-meter deep pit. However, this extremely powerful black tortoise was only Lin Yuan's mount in the Stoneclaw forest. Big Lizard, you came to this king's territory again? Did you not get enough of the beating last time? Lin Yuan lay on the back of the black tortoise and narrowed his eyes. His eyes were shining with a cold light, like a predator that had its eyes on its prey. Last time? Big Lizard? The flaming red crocodile king's face suddenly became gloomy. Last time it tried to take over the Stoneclaw forest, it was surrounded and killed by Lin Yuan. Almost all intelligence realm beasts in the Stoneclaw forest attacked it. If it was not strong, it was strong, it would have been killed. You're just like a human. You only know how to talk. The flaming red crocodile king shook its head, trying to get rid of the image of it being beaten to admit that it was a lizard. Then it glared at Lin Yuan and said coldly, "Black Serpent, although you are a 10th grade demonic beast, this king heard that you have the strength to kill intelligence realm beasts. Since that is the case, do you dare to have a king's battle with this king?" The so-called king's battle referred to when there was a dispute between two beast kings of similar strength. In order to prevent the endless war from destroying the ecological balance of the two territories, two demonic beasts of similar strength would fight to determine the winner. Usually, the participants of the king's battle would be the beast kings of the two territories. In rare cases, the beast kings would send their strongest demonic beast to fight. That was why it was called the king's battle. Without waiting for Lin Yuan to reply, the flaming red crocodile king changed the topic and said mockingly, "What, you don't dare? This king heard that your snake tail was broken by a human. Now even walking is a problem." Provoked by the flaming red crocodile king, the special mission King's Battle has been activated. Name: King's Battle. Description: you are destined to become the king of beasts. How can you be ridiculed by a mere ant? Use any method you can think of to defeat the flaming red crocodile king. Make it pay a terrible price for its words and actions. Mission reward: depends on the completion of the mission. Failure punishment: lose the right to rule the Stoneclaw forest. At the moment of the mission reminder, Lin Yuan suddenly shuddered. It's here. The hope of becoming a wisdom realm demonic beast and curing all the hidden injuries in its body was on this mission. It was just that this mission was very vague. Use any method he could think of to defeat the flaming red crocodile king? And make it pay a terrible price for its words and actions? You want to have a king's battle? Haha, what a coincidence. This king also has the same intention. Lin Yuan's eyes suddenly became clear. He replied slowly, however, this king has never done a losing deal. You want to have a king's battle, so this king has to accompany you? You have to at least bring some kind of reward. Otherwise, if any random cat or dog wants to challenge this king, how can this king have so much energy? Random cat or dog? Hearing Lin Yuan's words, the flaming red crocodile king's scales turned black. It wasn't that there weren't any cat or dog demons in the Hungduan mountain range, but there were too few of them. Most of the cats and dogs had even become pets of humans. Some of the canine demonic beasts had even become the trusted companions of human demon slayers. They specialized in helping human demon slayers hunt demonic beasts. Between demonic beasts, calling each other random cat or dog was an insult not inferior to a direct slap in the face. Roar. The flaming red crocodile king opened its mouth and let out a loud roar. It rushed to the boundary between the two territories. Its eyes were filled with ruthlessness as it said fiercely, "Black Snake, you have angered this king. Today, even if a mountain lord realm demonic beast pleads for you, it will be useless. This king will definitely tear you apart." Hiss hiss. Lin Yuan quickly flicked its tongue, as if it was releasing some kind of signal. Whoosh. A sharp sound of wind breaking rang out. A terrifying wind pressure rushed down from the sky, stirring up a large cloud of dust. The group of demonic beasts raised their heads and saw a huge crimson-furred bird flapping its wings as it floated above Lin Yuan's head. Its amber eyes seemed to have two balls of flames dancing in them. It seemed that just by looking at it, it could burn the enemy in front of it. Beside this crimson-furred bird was a green-furred greater demon. It looked similar to the crimson-furred bird, except that this green-furred bird was emitting a visible chill. Scarlet-eyed Mandarin. Black Ice Mandarin. The flaming red crocodile king looked at the two huge birds in the sky with a shocked expression. He called out their names with a gloomy expression. These two huge birds were also beast kings. Their territory was deeper than the Stoneclaw Forest and the flaming red swamp. The demonic beasts under them were also stronger than the demonic beasts in the outer regions. Although the difference wasn't great, it was clear that the demonic beasts in the outer regions would lose in the end. They rarely appeared in the outer regions of the Hungduan mountain range, but today they appeared together. Furthermore, they were standing on the Black Snake's side. Clearly, they were the helpers that the Black Snake had invited. Chapter 106. Big Lizard, you are right. This king's body is indeed inconvenient, so I specially invited two seniors to help me. Since you want to have a battle between kings, this king will do as you wish. Pick one of the two seniors to be your opponent. Lin Yuan looked at the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King with a hint of contempt. Demonic beasts were demonic beasts. Even if they had a certain degree of intelligence, they liked to solve problems with their own strength. However, Lin Yuan was different. After all, he had a human soul in his body. He could even command the four major clans to deal with emergencies in his own territory. When facing the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's provocation, how could he choose to face it alone? Even if he won, so what? The Crimson Jade Dew Pond was not something he could use. He also didn't have any fire-type demonic beasts under his command. Even if he picked one out to cultivate, it could directly go to the depths of the Hungduan mountain range once it was strong enough. In the end, wouldn't it be a waste? Only children would be swayed by emotions. Adults would have to consider the value of benefits. Scarlet Eye Mandarin glanced at the gloomy Crimson Blaze Crocodile King and said directly, "Black Snake, you said, 1 drop of the Crimson Jade Dew in your territory is equivalent to 5 years of cultivation for a fire-type demonic beast. Is that true?" "Yes." Lin Yuan nodded. "That's good." Scarlet Eye Mandarin fixed her eyes on the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's face and smiled. "This king will help you defeat it. All the Crimson Jade Dew will belong to this king. How about it?" "Okay." Lin Yuan still nodded the snake's head. At this moment, the Black Ice Mandarin opened her mouth, and a cold female voice rang out. "Black Snake, before this, I still have to greet you lest the other beast kings say that we're bullying others because of our power. My brother is here to help you because of the Crimson Jade Dew. If your stuff is not as effective as you claim, do you know what will happen to you? Now, if you take out a generous amount of phase as the running fee, my brother and I can still pretend that nothing happened. You have to think carefully." Black Ice Mandarin's words were filled with distrust towards Lin Yuan. A single drop of Crimson Jade Dew was equivalent to 5 years of cultivation for a fire-type demonic beast? Since when was the outer region of the Hengduan Mountains able to produce such a miraculous item? If I say there is, then there is. However, Lin Yuan didn't even blink. Instead, he suddenly changed the topic and said unhurriedly, "The reward has to be changed. Why don't the two seniors help me slaughter this large lizard and divide the Fey storage in the Scarlet Flame Swamp? I'll take 20%, and the two seniors will take 70%. Moreover, you'll have priority in choosing. How about it?" Xianbing Yuan carefully looked at Lin Yuan and saw that the pair of blue-white vertical pupils were as calm as water, and there was no sign of lying at all. She nodded and said, "As you wish. Sister, I'll go and play with it first. You go and clean up the demonic beasts it brought. Pay attention to controlling your strength. Don't kill all of them. Just kill some of the adult ones. Don't let those powerful people in the Hengduan mountain range find trouble." As soon as she finished speaking, Scarlet Eye Duck let out a shrill cry. She flapped her wings and rushed towards the Crimson Flame Crocodile King. The crimson jade dew was enough to attract it. If it could divide the Fae in the Scarlet Flame Swamp, it would be great too. It would have no problem dealing a heavy blow to the Crimson Flame Crocodile King if it joined forces with the Black Snake and Mendu. No matter how strong the Crimson Flame Crocodile King was, it couldn't turn the world upside down. This deal was worth it. Roar. The Crimson Flame Crocodile King let out an angry roar. As it opened its mouth, a black fireball that had been brewing for a long time was thrown towards the Scarlet Eye Duck. Although the Crimson Flame Crocodile King couldn't hear the Black Snake's words, judging from the Scarlet Eye Duck and the Black Ice Duck's attitude, this matter couldn't be settled peacefully. After all, the Fae in the Black Snake's possession was too tempting. A single drop was equivalent to 5 years of cultivation for a fire-type demonic beast. Not to mention existences like the Scarlet Eye Duck and the Scarlet Eye Duck. Even a Mountain Lord-level demonic beast wouldn't be able to resist coming over for a share of the loot. The Scarlet Eye Mandarin Duck flapped its wings, and the fireball spat out by the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King was deflected by a gust of wind. Then, a mocking look appeared in its eyes that seemed to be dancing with flames. Playing with fire? You think you're worthy? Thinking of this, the Scarlet Eye Duck flapped its wings and a flame tornado that was several hundred meters tall was lifted. It looked much bigger than the Crimson Flame Crocodile King's fireball, but this was only the beginning. The Scarlet Eye Duck flapped its wings again, and the flame tornado split into 8. They fanned out and surrounded the Crimson Flame Crocodile King. The Crimson Flame Crocodile King's eyes were filled with shock. Its thick limbs constantly slapped the ground and used the reaction force to frantically retreat. It seemed like it didn't dare to face the 8 flame tornadoes head-on. The Crimson Flame Crocodile King retreated and roared, "Scarlet Eye Duck, I admit that you're stronger than me. But even if you join forces with your sister, you might not be able to defeat me. Why don't we join forces to attack the Stoneclaw Forest and kill the Black Snake? All the Fae inside will belong to you. I only want the Black Snake dead. How about it?" Uft. The Scarlet Eye Duck didn't reply, but Lin Yuan sneered. Other than facing humans, high-level demonic beasts didn't have a stance to speak of. Lin Yuan had a top-grade Fae like the Crimson Jade Dew, so he was able to ask the Scarlet Eye Duck and its sister for help. However, he didn't make this decision on impulse. If demonic beasts wanted to grow, they had to devour other demonic beasts or Fae. For example, a water snake like Lin Yuan would be like poison to the Scarlet Eye Duck. At most, it would have some effect on the Black Ice Duck. However, Lin Yuan was only a Class 10 demonic beast. Just like how he couldn't gain any attribute points from killing low-level demonic beasts, with the Black Ice Duck's current strength, eating Lin Yuan would at most make her feel full. It wouldn't do any good to increase her strength. In addition, Lin Yuan was already a newly promoted Beast King, and was responsible for restoring the Stoneclaw Forest's ecosystem. He also had the bloodline of the dragon race. Killing Lin Yuan wouldn't be too difficult. However, after killing him, they would offend not only the demonic beasts in the depths of the Hengduan mountain range, but also the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas, which valued the bloodline of the dragon race. In addition, Lin Yuan was only a newly promoted Beast King, and wasn't the descendant of the three-eyed ape. He definitely didn't have many Fey items in his hands. It could even be said that he didn't have any. After all, no demonic beast with a bad brain would give away their most precious treasures to the Beast King. If they killed Lin Yuan now, it would be completely detrimental to them. Lin Yuan knew what the Scarlet-Eyed Duck and its sister were thinking. That was why he dared to expose the Crimson Jade Dew without fear. He wasn't afraid of inviting a wolf into the house. In terms of intelligence, these high-level demonic beasts might not be inferior to humans. But playing mind games? Lin Yuan's previous life was an era of information explosion. When it came to mind games and shrewdness, even the aristocrats of the 7 dynasties might not be able to outplay Lin Yuan. Chapter 107. The Flaming Red Crocodile King wanted to persuade the siblings with just a few words. Sorry, but as the old saying goes, pigs have to be fattened before they can be slaughtered. Lin Yuan's current wealth was nothing in the eyes of the siblings, but the Flaming Red Crocodile King was different. It was a beast king from the same era as the Three-Eyed Ape, and it just so happened that it was a fire demonic beast. After so many years, its wealth was so rich that even the siblings would drool over it. Faced with such a fat pig whose fat jiggled as it walked, and with a 70% chance of winning, it would be a miracle if the lovey-dovey siblings let it go. Lin Yuan's gaze fell on the scarlet pupil mandarin duck, revealing a hint of worry. This was done on purpose. He wanted to let the mysterious ice mandarin, who thought she was smart, see this and dispel the last bit of misgivings the siblings had about him. After all, he had already displayed enough extraordinary aspects. If he displayed too much intelligence that exceeded that of ordinary demonic beasts, it would be very easy for some demonic beasts to strangle him in the cradle. After all, the territory of this pair of siblings was not too far from the Stoneclaw Forest. We demonic beasts value promises very much. The profound ice mandarin duck flapped her wings, turning some of the small crocodiles into ice cubes. Then, she slowly landed beside Lin Yuan and proudly raised her head, saying, "Since we siblings said that we will help you deal with the Flaming Red Crocodile King, then we will definitely not go back on our words. As long as you did not lie to us about the reward, we will be your most reliable friends." Most reliable friends? Hey. Lin Yuan spat in his heart, but his face still had a smile. He replied with his mind, "Then I will have to trouble the 2 seniors to injure this big lizard first. If there is anything we can help with, please do not hesitate to ask." How could there be reliable friends between demonic beasts? Other than Lin Yuan, which Beast King didn't rely on force to rule the demonic beasts in their territory? The pair of siblings had been tempted by the Red Jade Dew, but when facing the Red Fire Crocodile King, they were still a little scared. Black Ice Mandarin's words were not just to see if Lin Yuan had the real deal. She also wanted to take the benefits and leave. She didn't want to get involved in the conflict between Lin Yuan and the Red Fire Crocodile King. However, Lin Yuan was not annoyed. It was true that the Scarlet Jade Dew was useless to him, but it was still his, wasn't it? In Lin Yuan's eyes, exchanging 70% of the Red Flaming Crocodile King's savings for the Red Flaming Crocodile King's territory was a loss. However, it didn't matter. After all, he was a cheater with a system. As long as he successfully advanced to Wisdom State, all the hidden injuries on his body would be healed. At that time, he would be able to hunt prey that could give him a lot of attribute points. His strength would still soar like a rocket. This pair of lovebirds had taken his things, so they would spit them out sooner or later. "Little brother, let me help you." Seeing that Lin Yuan had dispelled his worries, the Black Ice Mandarin screamed and spread her wings to join the battle. The Red Flaming Crocodile King saw that the pair of lovebirds had no intention of paying attention to it. It gritted its teeth and continuously released all kinds of fire-type talents. In an instant, black flames, orange flames, and frost danced on the battlefield. Some of the weaker demonic beasts had even lowered their bodies, not daring to watch the battle between the Beast Kings. They were afraid that they would suffer an unexpected calamity. Meng Do carried a stone pillar with one hand and walked to Lin Yuan's side. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Black Snake, don't tell me that you came up with this idea on the spur of the moment." The pair of lovebirds could be considered famous in this area. Lin Yuan was a newly promoted Beast King. If it wasn't for his outstanding battle record, who would put a level 10 demonic beast in their eyes? If the three-eyed ape was still around and something like the scarlet jadeite dew appeared in its territory, the red flaming crocodile king would definitely come over with a smile and request to exchange it for the scarlet jadeite dew. It would not directly gather people to try and snatch it. From this, it could be seen that Lin Yuan's position in the circle of beast kings was also incomparably awkward. Including Meng Do, no one would have thought that Lin Yuan would actually form a connection with the pair of lovebirds. What's so strange about it? The appearance of the scarlet jadeite dew only brought this battle forward a little. The red flaming crocodile king coveted the Stoneclaw Forest territory, while I coveted the red flaming crocodile king's spirit spring. Sooner or later, we would have to fight. It's just that the scarlet jadeite dew, which is useless to me, happened to be able to invite two strong reinforcements. Lin Yuan indifferently replied with his thoughts. Meng Do let out an "oh" and did not continue speaking. At this moment, he suddenly felt that all the demonic beasts seemed to have underestimated this black serpent. This demonic beast, which had not even reached the wisdom stage, possessed intelligence that far exceeded that of ordinary demonic beasts. Previously, when they were still in the demonic beast forest, the black serpent had already begun to plot against the Hengduan mountain range through Meng Do. Now the Shattered Stone clan was tied to the black serpent, which was the best example. After the black serpent occupied the Stoneclaw forest, its ambition seemed to have not been extinguished. Under the circumstances where no demonic beasts were aware of, it was still in contact with the demonic beasts in the deeper regions. Just based on this situation, the red flaming crocodile king's loss today was not unjustified. How could a demonic beast, which guarded its own territory, and always wanted to get some benefits from others, fight against an ambitious overlord who was constantly advancing towards a higher realm? Lord Sage really did not make an error of judgment. Meng Do sighed with emotion in his heart. Then he swung the stone staff in his hand and roared, "Kill!" The demonic beasts from the Stoneclaw forest roared, and pounced on the demonic beasts from the Scarlet Flame swamp. There was almost no suspense. It became a one-sided massacre. After all, those demonic beasts with extraordinary strength were already frozen when the mysterious Ice Mandarin attacked. How could the remaining demonic beasts defeat Meng Do and the other demonic beasts who were slowly recovering their strength at the side? Lin Yuan swayed his serpent tail. He had already begun to calculate how many benefits he would obtain after this mission. The red flaming crocodile king lost its life, the red flaming crocodile clan was unable to recover from this setback, and the Scarlet Flame swamp was annexed by Lin Yuan. Was this a tragic enough price to pay? Lin Yuan was full of confidence. He even felt that this mission would not be lower than an A grade. As for why it was not an S grade? Stop dreaming. From the system's point of view, if Lin Yuan did not personally torture the red flaming crocodile king to death, the system would definitely deduct a large number of points from Lin Yuan. Otherwise, it would not be called the Russian nesting doll system by Lin Yuan. System. The system, which could sense Lin Yuan's thoughts, silently held back the swear words that were about to come out of its mouth. Moreover, it began to silently calculate how to find a few more reasons to deduct points from Lin Yuan. At this moment, Lin Yuan did not know that the system had already begun to grind its teeth, and was planning to deduct points from his evaluation. Instead, he was concentrating on watching the battle between the three demonic beast kings. After all, the mysterious Ice Mandarin was the strongest ice demonic beast in the vicinity. If he could secretly learn a few moves, he would not have to use icicles to stab his enemies every time, right? He looked just like Granny Roan. Chapter 108. The flaming crimson crocodile king forced the scarlet eye mandarin duck back with a flick of its tail. The scarlet eye mandarin duck's bloodline was nobler than his, and her control over fire was stronger than his. If he was determined to fight with the scarlet eye mandarin duck, he would be the one to lose. Thinking of this, the flaming crimson crocodile king couldn't help but look at the profound ice mandarin duck. This pair of siblings had always been close. If he could severely injure the profound ice mandarin duck, he would definitely be able to force the scarlet eye mandarin duck back. The flaming crimson crocodile king stomped on the ground with its 4 thick limbs and directly charged towards the profound ice mandarin duck. However, the latter's eyes flashed with a hint of mockery, looking at the flaming crimson crocodile king charging towards her. A layer of light blue barrier suddenly appeared around her, and a dense cold aura spread out. The flaming crimson crocodile king crashed into the light blue barrier and instantly crushed it. It subconsciously opened its mouth and bit towards the profound ice mandarin duck, who was just in front of it, turned into an afterimage and directly disappeared in front of the flaming crimson crocodile king. Refraction. Lin Yuan, who was silently watching the battle, saw some clues. The profound ice mandarin duck's movements were very fast. When it landed in that area, all the monsters thought that it had been there all along. However, the current situation was very strange and scary, and most of the monsters were probably still confused. However, Lin Yuan's eyes quickly swept across the battlefield for a moment, and soon he saw a piece of crystal clear ice. The profound ice mandarin duck was currently squatting behind a rock, and what the monsters saw was only a projection of it reflected by the layers of ice. This big lizard, it's over. Lin Yuan gently shook the snake's head. Although he didn't have much of a beast's instinct, Lin Yuan could be considered an expert when it came to using the battlefield's terrain and setting up traps. The profound ice mandarin duck wouldn't make a projection for no reason to trick the flaming crimson crocodile king into attacking. The light blue barrier was to offset the impact of the flaming crimson crocodile king, and the afterimage was used to let the flaming crimson crocodile king see a glimmer of hope for victory, and let it use all its strength to attack with all its strength. At this moment, the flaming crimson crocodile king in the air was the biggest target. This state of helplessness would continue until the crimson blaze crocodile king landed. Extreme frost, icy hell. The profound ice duck flapped its wings and slowly rose from behind the rock, muttering. In the next moment, the ground beneath the crimson blaze crocodile king began to tremble. A huge piece of ice appeared beneath the crimson blaze crocodile king. As time passed, pieces of smooth ice extended from the huge ice surface and enveloped the crimson blaze crocodile king. Mendo turned his head and looked at Lin Yuan beside him. He narrowed his eyes and said, "This method is very similar." Before Mendo's voice trailed off, sharp icicles shot out from the ice surface, directly towards the crimson blaze crocodile king. These icicles were extremely sharp and slender. Although the crimson blaze crocodile king's body was covered in a layer of extremely hard red scales, there were gaps between the scales. If it were a large icicle, it would shatter when it hit the red scales. However, 80% of these sharp and slender icicles would shatter upon contact with the crimson scales. The remaining 20% would pierce through the cracks of the crimson scales and pierce into the crimson blaze crocodile king's flesh. Mendo forcibly held back the word "you," swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and said to Lin Yuan with lingering fear, "He is much more vicious than you." Lin Yuan was at a loss for words. Lin Yuan didn't have a good way to deal with this kind of monster covered in scales. However, Lin Yuan caught a hint of inspiration from watching the black ice duck. After all, Lin Yuan was used to using water pillars and icicles. He had never thought that slender icicles would be more effective against these scaled monsters. Ding! Congratulations to host. After watching the battle between the black ice duck and the crimson blaze crocodile king, you have gained enlightenment. Water, ice, proficiency +1. Ding! Congratulations to host. After watching the battle between the black ice duck and the crimson blaze crocodile king, you have gained enlightenment. Water, ice, proficiency +1. 2 system notifications rang in his ears. Lin Yuan blinked his eyes, silently feeling the malice from the system. No wonder he hadn't increased the proficiency of his water, ice, talent before. It turned out that this damn thing didn't increase the proficiency just by using it. Instead, it had to be used in a fancy way and constantly studied the technique to increase the proficiency. Mendo, get ready to attack. Lin Yuan's blue-white vertical pupils flashed with a cold light, and he warned, "If I say rush, you rush up. No matter what is blocking in front of you, you just have to use all your strength to hit it with the stick." All right. Mendo scratched its head and picked up the stone stick beside it. Its muscles slowly expanded, and then it constantly adjusted its body condition, allowing its blood to boil and ready for battle. Go. Before Mendo was ready, Lin Yuan's voice suddenly rang in its mind. Rumble. Rumble. Mendo's face was blank. Its body moved faster than its consciousness, and it directly rushed towards the direction of the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King. What the hell? It didn't even have time to prepare. As soon as Lin Yuan told it to get ready, Lin Yuan directly gave it the order to charge. This made it unable to move up or down. Its muscles hadn't even stretched out, but it had already entered a state of explosion. Even the slightest movement would cause a tearing pain. But it could only continue to charge forward. Was this the doing of a snake? However, Mendo didn't have the chance to curse out loud. The consciousness that belonged to Lin Yuan in its mind once again gave the order to attack. Looking at the huge ice layer in front of it, Mendo's eyes flashed with confusion. However, its body's reaction was still faster than its thoughts. It subconsciously used all its strength and swung the stick down. At this moment, the muscles on Mendo's left hand had doubled in size. It looked extremely sturdy. Drip, drip. The ice layer that was constantly shooting out icicles slowly melted. The blood-stained Crimson Blaze Crocodile King let out a roar and smashed a piece of ice with its head. Its eyes were filled with hatred. However, the hatred in the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's eyes only lasted for a moment, because it suddenly realized that a huge shadow had directly covered its head. Duang. A loud sound was heard. The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's head had just stretched out of the ice layer when it was hit by Mendo's stick. The huge crocodile's head was constantly trembling, and it only stabilized after a dozen times. However, its eyes were still blank. It was obviously stunned by Mendo's stick. Chapter 109. Scarlet-Eyed Mandarin. Black Ice Mandarin. Mendu. The three beasts that were fighting the Crimson Flame Beast King all felt their breathing become sluggish. From their point of view, Mendu seemed to be trying to help the Crimson Flame Crocodile King escape. However, the Crimson Flame Crocodile King suddenly stuck its head out and caught Mendu's attack. Seeing the Crimson Flame Crocodile King's dazed expression, Mendu felt an inexplicable pain in his balls. In the past, when he fought with other beasts, they all avoided his stone staff. However, it was the first time that the Crimson Flame Crocodile King stuck its head out and let him hit it. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and greet it while it's still in a daze. Lin Yuan used his thoughts to call out to the siblings and Mendu. Then he activated his talent and summoned a stream of underground water from the Crimson Flame Swamp. It slammed into the Crimson Flame Crocodile King's abdomen and lifted it up. The other three beasts then reacted and launched their own talent attacks at the Crimson Flame Crocodile King. After about 5 seconds, the dying Crimson Flame Crocodile King fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground, creating a deep crack. However, before the Crimson Flame Crocodile King could catch its breath, a huge figure enveloped it. Question marks slowly appeared on the Crimson Flame Crocodile King's head. Immediately, the black tortoise that Lin Yuan was riding on stomped into the soil fiercely. Lin Yuan, who was lying on the black tortoise's back, nodded his head in satisfaction. He said to the siblings, "Seniors, the big lizard's bones have been broken. It won't be able to cause any trouble in a short period of time. Why don't we get our reward first?" The siblings looked at each other and nodded in satisfaction. Leaving their own territory to hunt the Beast King in the Hengduan mountain range was an absolute taboo in the eyes of the beasts in the Hengduan mountain range. Therefore, they didn't kill it. Otherwise, the siblings could have killed the Crimson Flame Crocodile King without Lin Yuan and Mendu's help. However, some things were unspoken rules. Although everyone knew about it, no beasts would say it out loud. Seeing that Lin Yuan was so smart, the Yuanyang siblings also nodded with satisfaction. Scarlet-Eyed Mandarin's eyes paused for a moment on the body of the Flaming Crocodile King under the feet of the Black Tortoise, and a touch of greed flashed in her eyes. However, seeing that the Black Serpent did not kill the Flaming Crocodile King on the spot, she could only give up the idea of devouring the body of the Flaming Crocodile King. She could only hope that the red jade dew mentioned by the black serpent really had that magical effect. Of course, things had already come to this point, and they could not fall out with Lin Yuan. It did not matter if there was one less Beast King in the Hengduan Mountains, the surrounding Beast Kings would naturally annex its territory. However, if several Beast Kings were killed in succession, there would definitely be big shots coming out from deeper areas to investigate. The Flaming Crocodile King's collection was more than enough to pay them. Even if the Crimson Jade Dew wasn't as magical as the Black Snake said, they would still return to their territory with satisfaction. They would just secretly hate the Black Snake. The little actions of the Yuanyang siblings naturally did not escape Lin Yuan's eyes. Regarding this, Lin Yuan only sneered in his heart. Fays were dispensable to him. Although he could obtain attribute points by eating them, it was not as much as directly killing Fey beasts or humans. If the Yuanyang siblings wanted to obtain benefits from Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't have any objections. After all, which slaughterhouse owner would complain that their pigs had eaten too much and become fat? The fire-type Fey has already appeared. I have ordered the Stoneclaw Forest's Fey beasts not to come close. Senior Scarlet Pupil Mandarin can go over and take the Crimson Jade Dew at any time. Now, will the two of you follow me to the Scarlet Flame Swamp? Or should I wait here for the two of you to come back after retrieving the item? Lin Yuan still maintained his calm and refined appearance. He opened his mouth and revealed a silent smile. There is nothing in the periphery of the Hengduan mountain range that can threaten me. I will go and retrieve the Crimson Jade Dew. Let my sister go with you to the Scarlet Flame Swamp to retrieve the Flaming Crocodile King's collection. This is good for both of us. No one will waste time. The Scarlet Pupil Mandarin also smiled and replied with a nonchalant expression. Dog, threatening me? The smile on Lin Yuan's face disappeared, and his gaze fell on the profound ice duck. The latter nodded. Then, under Lin Yuan's signal, Mendo directly carried the dying Flaming Crocodile King on his shoulder. No matter how strong a Fey's physique was, and how terrifying its recovery ability was, it couldn't regenerate from a single drop of blood. Therefore, the Flaming Crocodile King was no longer a threat to Lin Yuan and Mendo. They could take its life at any time. The two groups of Fey beasts separated. Lin Yuan rushed to the Scarlet Flame Swamp, and the Scarlet Pupil Mandarin rushed to the Crimson Jade Dew Pond. The system had already notified him that he could submit the mission, but Lin Yuan directly ignored it. Although the Flaming Crocodile King had already been defeated by the Yuanyang siblings and Mendo, the real punishment had only just begun. Lin Yuan wanted the Flaming Crocodile King to watch as the Fey beasts in the Scarlet Flame Swamp were slaughtered. He also wanted to divide its treasures in front of it. Only in the end would he kill it. After all, with the damned system's character, if the mission reward wasn't good enough for Lin Yuan to break through to the Wisdom Realm, he would take the opportunity to kill the Flaming Crocodile King and obtain another 5 attribute points. This was the reason why Lin Yuan wanted to keep the Flaming Crocodile King. Black Ice Mandarin and Mendo's movements were very fast. Although Lin Yuan's Black Tortoise wasn't slow, it was still lacking compared to the two of them. Very quickly, it was left behind by the two. It could only watch as they chased after it. Along the way, the ground was littered with the remains of various Fey beasts. Some were frozen into ice cubes, some were crushed into meat paste, and some were even directly torn apart. The scene was extremely tragic. Moreover, among these dead Fey beasts, most of them were from the Flaming Crocodile clan. They should be the descendants of the Flaming Crocodile King. With regards to this, Lin Yuan said that it was all within his expectations. Which emperor would bring all his sons and daughters with him when he personally went to war? After all, the Flaming Crocodile King had been the Beast King in the Scarlet Flame Swamp for dozens of years. The amount of Fey beasts that it had accumulated was quite considerable. There were bound to be some ignorant people who wanted to steal some of it. Therefore, there must be some Fey beasts guarding this place. These Fey beasts that stayed behind were truly loyal to the Flaming Crocodile King. Lin Yuan was lying on the back of the Black Tortoise, slowly following the backs of the Profound Ice Duck and Mendo. He had already begun to guess in his heart that the insufferably arrogant Red Flame Crocodile King had watched its own people and descendants being slaughtered all the way. At this moment, its mood was like a big volcano that could explode at any time. Chapter 110. When Lin Yuan arrived at the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's nest, the mysterious ice duck and Mendo were already waiting for him. The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King was like a pile of mud that was casually thrown onto the ground by Mendo. Its eyes were bloodshot, as if it wanted to swallow everyone in front of it alive. Lin Yuan guessed that the demonic beast of the wisdom state had just condensed its monster core, and could not mobilize the demonic power in the monster core to self-destruct at any time like a mountain lord. Otherwise, even if it had to sacrifice its life, it would definitely drag these bastards in front of it down with it. Lin Yuan slowly jumped down from the black tortoise's back, and slowly walked to the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's side. His blue-white eyes flashed with a hint of ridicule as he mocked. "You're about to die, and you still want to drag us down with you? Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. If you have the ability, why don't you self-destruct?" He wasn't unfamiliar with the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's gaze. Blizzard also had the same gaze before it died. The days of eating raw meat and drinking blood had been too long, and the softness of Lin Yuan's human side had long dissipated. Especially after he saved the human woman, he attracted the covetous eyes of the Liu family, which made him even more cold-hearted. "Take the thing. I admit defeat this time." The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King gritted its teeth and looked at the expressionless mysterious ice duck and Mendo. It took a deep breath. "Big Lizard, shouldn't you have a sense of propriety when you're dreaming? We only had a small conflict before, so if you stayed in your swamp, I wouldn't find trouble with you. But this time we're already at war and you just happened to fall into my hands. Tell me, what reason do I have to let you go?" Lin Yuan blinked his eyes and replied jokingly, "You don't dare to kill me. If you kill me, you'll all die." The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's scarlet eyes stared at Lin Yuan. Its eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Both Lin Yuan and the door were slightly startled when they heard that. "Is this thing crazy? I'm already in this situation. Where did it get the confidence that I won't die?" The profound ice duck slightly raised its wings and said in a deep voice, "What it said might be true. I heard that the Red Flame Crocodile King seems to be the illegitimate son of a desolate demon realm demonic beast in the Hengduan Mountains. However, it did not inherit its father's bloodline. Instead, it inherited its mother's bloodline. In this lifetime, it could never reach the desolate demon realm. Therefore, it was exiled to the outskirts of the Hengduan Mountains by its father. The Red Flame Crocodile King is its mother's clan." Speaking of this, the mysterious ice duck paused for a moment before continuing, "But this is only what I've heard. Anyway, with my brother's status, we can't kill the Hengduan Mountain Range's Beast King. Otherwise, we'll be punished. It's up to you whether to kill it or not." These words were both true and false. Part of it was because of the rules of the Hengduan Mountains, and the other part was because of the fear of the rumors. When he heard the two words desolate demon, Lin Yuan's mind slightly exploded. After all, this was a realm he had never heard of before. There were 10 levels of awakened demonic beasts. Above them were intelligent greater demons, and above them were mountain masters or river masters. They could control the rules of a certain area, and with a thought, they could affect the weather. As for the desolate demon realm, it was clearly above the mountain masters and river masters. However, Lin Yuan quickly regained his composure. Seeing that Mendo was looking at him, Lin Yuan finally spat out his snake tongue. Then Lin Yuan leisurely said, "What rumors and hearsay? 80% of them are lies. If its father is really a desolate demon, then even if it doesn't have the climate, it can still encircle a territory in a slightly deeper area of the Hengduan mountain range with its father's remaining power. Why would it run to the outermost area of the Hengduan mountain range to face the human demon slayer?" When Lin Yuan said this, the fear in Mendo and Xianbing Yang's eyes dissipated a little. Hearing this, it seemed to make some sense. Speaking of bloodlines, there are people who say that I'm an ancient species and have dragon blood in my body. Not long ago, I even met a greater demon from the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. Lin Yuan grinned at the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King and sneered. Big Lizard, this reason isn't enough for you to live. Why don't you come up with something more practical? Take out whatever treasures you've hidden. Maybe you can exchange it for your life. The Crimson Blaze Crocodile King coldly snorted and turned its head to the side, ignoring Lin Yuan. It wasn't that it didn't have any treasures that it had hidden. And it wasn't that it wasn't interested in Lin Yuan's suggestion. It was just that it had secretly investigated Lin Yuan's words and deeds. This bastard's treachery was a common occurrence, cooperating with one party to suppress the other party, and in the end, taking advantage of both parties was a basic operation for the Black Snake. Even if it handed over its treasures, it would only let the other party earn a little more, and it wouldn't be able to keep its life. Instead, it would expose its own guilt and make the Black Snake even more brazen in attacking it. Then there's no other way. Lin Yuan retracted his tongue and stared coldly at the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King. He moved his body and bit the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King's soft nose, slowly injecting the dove wine's poison into its body. Lin Yuan felt the vitality of the flaming red Crocodile King slowly depleting, and its body slowly stiffened under his mouth, but Lin Yuan didn't see any fear in the eyes of the flaming red Crocodile King. Instead, it looked at him with ridicule. This behavior made Lin Yuan's heart sink. This bastard, don't tell me he really has an awesome father? Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully killing the Wisdom Perception demonic beast, Crimson Blaze Crocodile. Reward: 5 attribute points. The familiar system notification rang in Lin Yuan's mind. Only then did Lin Yuan regain some of his calmness. Was having a desolate demon realm father that impressive? Yes, it was indeed impressive. However, from the behavior of the Yuanyang siblings, although the demonic beasts in the Hengduan mountain range were chaotic, they still had their own set of rules. As long as he didn't fall into the hands of that desolate demon, it could only secretly hate him for a period of time. As the saying goes, when there are too many lice it won't itch. There were plenty of people who hated Lin Yuan. There was even the Lu family head in Mountain Blocking City, who had taken over his body. As long as the other party didn't immediately find trouble with him, there was still time for it to develop. When the two sides really met, Lin Yuan would press it to the ground and beat it up. He would let it understand why a cheat was called a cheat. Done, let's split the loot. Lin Yuan's words were short and simple. He signaled the black tortoise to wait here. Then, he led the way into the treasury left behind by the Crimson Blaze Crocodile King. In an instant, streams of rich spiritual energy flowed into Lin Yuan's body. Even his extremely sensitive sense of smell failed him at this moment. He couldn't distinguish what was what from the various fragrances. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.